From Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, the Expos and the Philadelphia Phillies about set to get underway on a beautiful night for baseball. Let's check out the Expos starting lineup. Marquise Grissom, Sean Berry, and Moises Alou at the top of the order. Rondell White, Will Cordero, Lenny Webster. Then at the bottom part of the order, Randy Milligan, Mike Lansing, and Butch Henry. Marquise Grissom started the year in the number 3 spot, now up into the leadoff spot for the last 64 ball games. Taking a look at Fernando Valenzuela, 33-year-old left-hander on the mound, 1-2, makes his 6th start, his 7th Philadelphia appearance. Gary.
Dave, Fernando's been pitching well. He's using the whole plate, not the velocity that he used to have that really set up his changeup in the past, but now he's in, out, jamming the hitters, and occasionally a screwball to keep him honest.
Fernando about set to go, and Marquise Grissom will step into the batter's box. The Expos leadoff hitter, while he does not have the overall on-base percentage you might like to see from a leadoff batter, remember that he spent the early part of the year in the number 3 spot. He's still a very dangerous man to lead off a ball game because of his speed. We're underway with strike 1 to Grissom. Grissom, who comes in tonight batting at .289, 10 home runs, 25 doubles. And a ball and a strike. Grissom is second in the league to Jeff Bagwell in scoring runs. So that in itself is testimony that in spite of the on-base percentage, he's getting the job done for the Expos, scoring runs. Here's a fly ball to left. Incaviglia comes in. 1 away.
See, and that's what Fernando's going to be good at. He's going to do a lot of it tonight. And the Montreal Expos hitters must adjust. Fastball outside, inside, then a breaking ball in on the hand. Caught Grissom.
Defensively for the Phillies, we mentioned Incaviglia in left, Len Dykstra in center, Billy Hatcher in right. On the infield, first to third, Ricky Jordan, Randy Reddy, Kevin Stocker, Kim Batiste, and behind the plate, Todd Pratt.
Phillies really count on Kevin Stocker to be the glue in that infield. And this year he's got a whopping 16 errors, so they really count on him to be the guy that keeps that hole up the middle working.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, it's a little higher than his error total of last year. Sean Berry in the number 2 spot tonight, the Expos third baseman. He's hitting .268. Berry has 10 home runs. He's also stolen 12 bases. With Berry having solidified things at third for the Expos, Felipe Alou has been able to play Mike Lansing on a regular basis at second base. Yeah. Last year, Lansing was all over the infield.
Right, that's the value of having someone, a utility player that you can put in one spot. He allows you to focus on the area you think you need to work in.
2 balls and a strike to Berry. And that's fouled off the fist. That's where Fernando likes to be, in on the hands of these right-handed batters.
And he takes so much off of it that it looks like you can get to that pitch. And when you do, I mean, you pull it foul by about 10 miles. So just keep the hitters off stride.
1 down, nobody on. The 2-2 pitch to Berry. Fernando took something off that pitch, kept it away, struck him out.
Right, a little change up outside part of the plate, and we're going to keep saying the location. Watch where this pitch is. After coming inside to Berry, now we'll change up away, and he can't even get there. And that's a discipline that young hitters must have. If they're going to go against a pitcher like Fernando, you got to be patient up there and make him throw you strikes.
2 outs, and Moises Alou is the batter, 4th in the National League, batting .334. Leading the Expos in home runs with 21, and he has 71 runs batted in. He's had a wonderful year. And Alou rips one foul down the left field line.
That won't be the first one of those we see. That's when he throws that ball inside, it's not so hard that it saws off the bat, but the hitters can get around on it. They just yank it foul every time.
1 strike on Alou. And that is popped off the hands to the right side, and Randy Reddy is under this. That's all for the Expos, who come up empty against Fernando in the first. No score midway in the first inning at the vet. The Phillies coming to bat here in the bottom of the first. We'll check out the Philadelphia starting lineup. Len Dykstra, of course, leading it off. Billy Hatcher gets the call in the number 2 spot tonight. Ricky Jordan hitting third. Pete Incaviglia is in the cleanup spot. And veteran Randy Reddy hits number 5. Todd Pratt, the catcher. Then Kim Batiste playing over at third. Kevin Stocker will hit 8th, and Fernando Valenzuela will pitch and bat 9th. Stocker not a home run hitter, of course, but he's hit 2 this week. Billy Hatcher with a good average against the Expos and up against this left-hander, Butch Henry.
Yeah, he has a variety of pitches, Butch Henry. Fastball, slider, change, and a curveball. Likes to throw that slider to these left-handers, and it's very, very difficult for left-handed batters.
Butch Henry having a terrific year for the Expos. It's his 14th start and his 23rd appearance. He did not make the club out of spring training, although he had a good spring for the Expos. He went down to the minor leagues, got called up, went into the rotation, went to the bullpen, now back in the rotation. Inside to Dykstra, and ball 1. Lenny hitting at 279.
And this is a control pitcher. He knows what he's doing. When that ball's inside, it's a purpose pitch to set you up for that slider away, especially if you're a left-handed hitter.
Ball 1, no strikes. And Dykstra lines a ball hard, but at Alou. And Dykstra is out.
Dykstra right on Henry's pitch. It was a straight ball, got it up a little bit.
In the Expos outfield, rookie Rondell White in left, along with Marquise Grissom and Moises Alou. And on the infield, Randy Milligan starts for Larry Walker at first base. Mike Lansing and Will Cordero up the middle. Sean Berry over at third, and Lenny Webster behind the plate. Larry Walker has been moved to the Expos infield, has been playing at first base. He's out of the lineup tonight because he has a slight rotator cuff tear in his right shoulder, and it's bothering him. And so Milligan starts at first tonight. Billy Hatcher, 33-year-old veteran. One ball, 1 strike to Hatcher. Good numbers against the Expos, and so he's in there. There's Larry Walker sitting this one out, giving that shoulder some rest. 1-1 pitch. Fouled away by Hatcher, and Henry gets ahead 1-2. Gary, I suppose to win a championship or contend for a championship, every team needs a surprise. Something that they didn't expect from somebody. Well, the performance of Butch Henry is a surprise to the Expos.
Well, I think the Phillies had a whole team full of surprises last year, but you're absolutely right. And what allows you to do that a lot of times, if your ball club goes out and plays the way they can, they allow you to bring along a young player so he can afford to make mistakes, or somebody that's trying to work on something. And that's what the Expos have done. Right from the beginning, they played well, so Henry has not had a lot of pressure put on him.
He had Billy Hatcher out in front, and the ball's popped up for Lansing. 2 down in the Philly half of the first. That'll bring Ricky Jordan to the plate. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles. The result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. MCI, the company that brings you proof positive, and new Clean System 3 gasoline from Texaco. Ricky Jordan up with 2 outs, none on and no score in the first. Ball in the dirt to Jordan.
If you're going to contend, you also need players like a Ricky Jordan on your team, a guy who, you know, in his own right could be an everyday ball player, but sat on the bench all of last season and pitched in wherever he could. He comes back this year and does pretty much the same thing, but no complaints from him, and just a good role model for the rest of the guys on the team who have to sit.
Low and inside, and 2 balls, no strikes. Jordan in 201 at-bats, Gary, with 14 doubles, 8 home runs.
He can hurt you, and this is a situation you know Henry's going to be careful.
2 balls and a strike. Ricky Jordan had the advantage there, 2-0. Still has the advantage, 2-1. Henry pitching from behind.
It's amazing how confident those pitchers get and know they don't have to challenge. When you got a team that plays good defense behind you, all you have to do is just go ahead and do what you feel comfortable with.
That ball is pulled to the left side. Berry throws across the body late at first base. Jordan hustles and beats out an infield hit.
See, in a time when you would expect to get a fastball, Henry comes in with a changeup. Ricky Jordan reaches for it and then pulls it to third base. You see Berry coming in, but not able to get Ricky Jordan because his momentum was carrying him towards home plate. Here it is again. Off-speed pitch, Ricky Jordan way out in front. Look how Barry comes across, and his momentum just carries him into foul territory. Can't get anything on the throw.
So the Phillies have a base runner with 2 outs in the first, and Pete Incaviglia to the plate against Butch Henry. Incaviglia's hitting .235 with 13 homers, 10 doubles, and he's driven in 32. Incaviglia, of course, a story with ties to the Expos, because in June of 1985 the Expos made him their #1 draft, but he would not sign with the Expos, so they arranged a trade with the Texas Rangers. Then Incaviglia signed, was traded immediately to Texas, and went straight to the major leagues.
All right, no time at all in the minors. That's mind-boggling to me.
1 ball and 1 strike to Incaviglia.
See Henry come inside with that fastball there. I mean, hitters love the ball inside, so if you make a mistake in there, you know, you're going to be hurt. And Henry's still showing a lot of courage. He's just pitching in and out, not being afraid of the hitters at all.
Gets ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Butch Henry came to the Expos last July from the Colorado Rockies, and pitching coach Joe Kerrigan said it took Henry about 6 weeks to really get his mind out of Mile High Stadium.
When you pitch in a place like Mile High or Wrigley Field, your whole idea of how to pitch, the whole concept changes.
Incaviglia pops one up to shallow center. That draws a crowd. Grissom takes charge, and that's it for the Phillies, who lead Jordan. So after 1 at the vet, Expos nothing and the Phillies nothing. Fernando Valenzuela will face Rondell White, Will Cordero, and Lenny Webster of the Expos. And the breaking pitch is line to left at Incaviglia, who's on the warning track to haul it in, and Rondell White is out, first ball hitting.
Boy, I tell you, he has a real nice stroke. Reminds me of Andre Dawson, the way he finishes off his swing. Looks a lot like him to me.
He's been compared by a lot of people to the Hawk. Rondell White, the Expos' #1 draft in June of 1990. Wilfredo Cordero, the shortstop, coming up. Here you have a 22-year-old hitting in the cleanup spot, Rondell White, and a 22-year-old shortstop hitting #5 tonight.
Boy, I tell you, for shortstops, he's really putting on an exhibition this year. Leads them in average, home runs, RBIs. How about that play he made last night? Shades of Ozzie Smith out there.
Cordero, for the record, batting .297, 15 home runs, 63 runs batted in.
The play he made last night where he went to his right, dove, smothered the ball, got up, and threw Ricky Jordan out at first base. That was just a great play.
Foul ball down the line. Interesting, too, that as a shortstop, you think #1 defense. As Cordero has gotten better offensively, his defense has picked up.
Yeah, it does. It's amazing. When you're hitting the ball well, you can go ahead and play good defense. But if you're not hitting, what you're thinking about on defense a lot of time is you're hitting your last at bat. So when you're hitting the ball well, everything just falls in place for you on defense.
2-2 from Valenzuela to Cordero. Now full count. Fernando now in his 12th year. The Expos and the Phillies and everybody else saw him at his very best when he broke in with the Dodgers, of course. A walk here to Cordero. Well, let's take a look at our Toyota Diamond Dust Trivia Quiz. Hank Aaron hit 733 home runs with the Braves, the all-time record for one team. Which 2 players hit 100+ home runs for each of 3 different teams? We'll have the answer in the next half inning. Cordero at first, Webster at the plate. Cordero 15 out of 17 in stealing bases. While the Expos have some players that have hit some home runs, Gary, they do rely on their speed.
Going to first and third, I mean, plus the timely hitting that they've got. You put that together with speed, and you're going to score a lot of runs.
Double play depth on the Philly infield. A strike to Webster. Webster wasn't in the plans when the Expos of 1994 came together in spring training. He was acquired midway through training camp, came over from the Minnesota Twins, and was immediately given the backup catching job to the former Philly, Aaron Fletcher, who's the Expos' #1 catcher. For the Expos, with the exception of Marquise Grissom, who has seen Fernando a little bit, this is a whole new experience. Not just seeing Fernando pitch, but now in the case of Cordero, trying to figure out Fernando working from the stretch.
Well, it is, and it's a good thing they haven't faced Fernando, because what you have a tendency to do is you think of the guy in terms of how he used to be, and you give him a lot more credit than you need to give him. And that's why these young guys have not seen him. They're just going up there hitting what they see. That should be to an advantage, but they are definitely going to have to be patient in order to get to Fernando.
So it might be best that they haven't read the clippings about former Rookie of the Year, Cy Young Award winner.
Right. I played with a guy, Tug McGraw, who till he retired was known for his screwball and probably stopped throwing it 4 or 5 years before he retired, and everybody still looked for it.
One out here in the second, no score. 2-2 on Lenny Webster.
Fernando relying on keeping those hitters off balance. 7 strikeouts in 30-plus innings. You know, he's just keeping them off stride. Everybody seems to put the ball in play, but not anybody hard off of it. All the hard ones seem to go foul.
Cordero drawing another throw at first base. One of the things, of course, that Felipe Alou likes to do is keep runners on the move, try to open up the defense for the hitters and try to stay away from double plays. There goes Cordero, and Fernando caught him.
Well, as a base runner, when you have a left-hander on the mound, they're very difficult to read. So a lot of times you just try and pick the pitch you think he's going to go home on. And I think that's what happened right there with Cordero. Valenzuela's move is not that good. He's good at keeping you close to the bag, but that right there was just a guess on Cordero's part, and Ricky Jordan fires down to second base, and they got him.
2 down, nobody on. Lenny Webster waits for the pitch and is fooled. A check swing tapper to short. Stocker has this, gets Webster, and Fernando pitches around the wall. No score midway in the second at the vet. Into the bottom of the second at the vet, and the Phillies are going to send Randy Reddy, Todd Pratt, and Kim Batiste to the mound against Butch Henry. Butch Henry, with an 8-2 record, as we mentioned earlier, has faced the Phillies as a starter one other time this year, May 16th. He started a game here at the vet and beat the Phils 4-1, going 5 2/3 innings. Lifetime 2-2 against the Phillies. He did not, by the way, have a great deal of success with the Astros or the Rockies pitching against the Phillies. Randy Reddy, the batter. Swings on the first pitch, lifts a high fly ball to Marquise Grissom. 1 away.
We see a little pattern that's starting to develop. These guys are swinging early in the count. They know these guys, if you get behind them, that they're going to be heck on you.
Let's take a look at the Toyota Diamond Dust Quiz. Hank Aaron, 733 homers for the Braves, all-time record for one team. Which 2 players hit 100 home runs plus for each of 3 different teams? Well, surely you'll remember Darrell Evans. Here is Todd Pratt standing in. And he takes a strike. Darrell Evans for the Giants, Tigers, and Braves. And Reggie Jackson with the A's, Yankees, and Angels. That's a lot of home runs.
More than I'll ever know about.
A called strike on Todd Pratt, the Philadelphia catcher, batting 182 with just 88 at-bats in.
Phillies are alternating their catching duties between Todd Pratt and Mike Lieberthal, a young player they brought up. This is a time where they're looking at a lot of young players.
To formulate a game plan for 1995?
I think so, and that's where Fernando runs into problems. You know, they're now, when he wants to try and get some starts, they're just going, they have to look at these young players, and I think that's going to hurt his chances to start many more ball games.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Pratt.
Pratt, the backup catcher, was happy in that role last year. There's Jim Fregosi. trying to get this team to just play consistent the rest of the season.
Pratt pops one up down the right field line. First baseman Milligan back there, and that ball came back to it.
Well, it's a good play, Stan, with that. The wind in the stadium is circular, and sometimes that ball over that way will blow back towards the field.
This is the middle game of a 3-game series. The Expos won here last night. Wind was a factor on balls hit high to the outfield here.
It is. And usually you can tell if the winds at the top, if the flags at the top of the stadium are blowing in, that means the ball will carry out. It goes just the opposite of what the flags are doing. Players that play here know that. If you knew the Veteran Stadium, you learned it the hard way.
2 down, none on. Kim Batiste batting .250. And with the injuries to, of course, David Hollins and now Mariano Duncan, Kim Batiste is playing.
Kim Batiste, the guy they're really trying to get to walk a little bit more, yes, but also learn to work the pitchers. When you're ahead in the count, be able to sit on a fastball and anticipate what's coming.
0-2 the count. Pedro Martinez pitched here last night and pitched a gem. He went 8 innings, shut the Phillies down on just 2 hits. John Wetland finished up for Montreal. On Kim Batiste.
That ball is a good fastball and tied him up a little bit after throwing him 2 fastballs away. Henry looks like he's putting that ball right where he wants it.
There you look at the at-bats for Kim Batiste, Gary. 196 at-bats. He's walked once.
That was last week. That was just last week. They're trying to get him to take some pitches, and I've seen him the last 4 or 5 games. Every time he's taken the first pitch, it's been a strike. And they're saying that don't swing at the first pitch. Get ahead of the hitter. Get ahead of the pitcher. And every time he takes it, it seems to be a strike. So he's struggling with that right now. And it's really affecting his defense.
2-2 the count on Kim Batiste. Pulls the ball to the left side. Perry leaves it for Cordero. And Milligan handles the high throw. And that's all for the Phillies here in the second. So after 2 innings, Butch Henry and Fernando Valenzuela move on to the third with no score. For the Expos in the 3rd inning, no score with the Phillies. Fernando Valenzuela on the mound and Randy Milligan at the plate. Bottom third of the Expos order. Milligan starting in place of Larry Walker tonight, getting a rare start at first base. Randy has just 76 at-bats on the year, batting .237. One ball, 1 strike. Randy Milligan's first year with the ball club, and a young team needs to have some veterans around, and Milligan has really made a strong off-the-field contribution to the club, helping the young players.
That's what I was going to say. Numbers just aren't indicative of what a veteran adds to a ball club. The number one thing, if you bring over a veteran that has good work habits, that sets the tone for your whole team, young players in particular.
Milligan pops it up a mile high and out of play left side. That ball had a lot of airtime, didn't it?
That's right. And from Fernando, you see a lot of that, especially from the power hitters. I mean, they just try and see how far they can hit it, and it ends up being hit hard but foul.
3-2. Gary, when you came up, of course, broke in with the Giants before coming over to the Philadelphia Phillies, but was there a veteran or two that really helped you get your feet on the ground?
Well, when I broke in with San Francisco, Billy Mays was on the team, and all he had to do was say anything, and you took it as gospel. And, you know, when you can have a guy of that magnitude say something to you, you don't even have to question.
Milligan is caught looking. That's the second strikeout for Fernando.
Well, caught looking on a pitch that just tied him up inside. This little slider inside. He can't quite get to it. It catches the inside part of the plate.
Second strikeout for Fernando. 1 down in the 3rd. No score. Mike Lansing up, batting .264. Pitcher Butch Henry is on deck. I suppose the veteran thing can work both ways. If the veteran by his mere presence intimidates a young player, it could work against the youngster. But as long as he doesn't intimidate. A drive to left by Lansing. Incaviglia watching, and it is gone. A home run for Mike Lansing. His 5th of the year.
Speaking of intimidation, he was all over that. Not intimidated at all by that ball inside from Fernando. That's what we were saying earlier. When you try and pitch inside, it's easy to make a mistake, but it's mandatory, a necessity that pitchers do that. This time, not getting the ball far enough in on Lansing, and it cost Fernando. He wants to get that ball way inside, a little slider, but it catches the inside part of the plate. Lansing, I mean, he just saw what happened to Milligan. Right on it.
It's the 6th home run allowed by Fernando, the 5th hit by Mike Lansing. And Butch Henry will bat, leading 1-0.
We're going to have Steve Carlton in here. And Steve Carlton believed that you never throw 8th and 9th hitter inside. It just turns them into pull hitters because all you have to do is get the head of the bat out front. So he was against pitching those types of hitters inside. And if you pitch them away, let them hit the ball away, and it's a single. They can't hurt you.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Butch Henry. 1 down. Lansing with the home run, and Butch Henry, a left-handed batter, a pretty good hitting pitcher. Batting .321. He's 9 for 28. Gone here. Strikeout number 3 for Fernando. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. And Goodyear, #1 in tires. And at the vet, 1-0 Expos on a Lansing home run. 2 down. Grissom up here, low and outside a ball. He flied to left his first time up. One ball and 1 strike.
That ball up in the strike zone. But against Fernando, he's not throwing so hard that you lay off that pitch. Every pitch he throws up there, you feel you can get the bat on it somehow.
Jeff Bagwell leading with 101 runs. Marquise Grissom, #2 in the league. Hits this ball high into the air to left center. Dykstra has called. That's it for the Expos. A home run by Mike Lansing and a 1-0 Montreal lead midway in the 3rd.
Jim Kelly and the defending AFC champion Buffalo Bills host the Washington Redskins. It's a primetime NFL preseason special Monday on ABC.
At the vet, Kevin Stocker to lead it off for the Philadelphia Phillies, who are down 1-0 on a Mike Lansing home run. Stocker, #8 in the Philadelphia order. He'll be followed by Fernando Valenzuela, and then the top of the order, Len Dykstra. Stocker's batting .279. Switch hitter. People look for reasons why the 25-year-old left-hander Butch Henry has been able to progress and improve his pitching. One of them has been his ability to control the ball and throw strikes.
Evident tonight. I mean, inside, outside on the corners, nothing right down the middle. That was close.
Henry is just 25 years old. He has fallen behind 3-0 here on Kevin Stocker. Three balls, 1 strike to Stocker. Cordero. That is into the gap and extra bases for Stocker. He'll hold up at second with a double.
Butch Henry becomes just an ordinary pitcher when he gets behind in the count. The key to pitching is to get ahead in the count. It means open your options to throw your other 3 pitches or 4 pitches that you have. And he falls behind 3-0 to Kevin Stocker, comes 3-1 with a fastball right down the middle, and you have to take something off of it. So Kevin Stocker has the advantage in that situation.
The double for Stocker is his 11th.
So when you can hit a ball to the wall on an outfield like the Montreal Expos, you hit a ball hard.
Fernando 2 for 9 batting in a bunt situation here, sends one foul back to the fans.
Handles the bat very well still. Definitely bunted. He can sure get him over by swinging the bat. But his job right now is to get that runner to third base. Less than 2 outs.
Berry playing in at third base. Milligan just inside of the base at first. There's the bunt. Fernando Valenzuela got the job done.
Very sound fundamentally, no question about it. Can do all the things except throw it as hard as he used to back in the 80s. Still a very competitive person and does a good job out there on the mound.
One down, tying run at third base early in the game. Inning number 3. Lenny Dykstra will be the batter. Dykstra lined out to right field his first time up. So an RBI opportunity for Lenny, who's driven in 24. Ball 1 to Dykstra, again behind quickly here.
Dykstra loves to hit ahead in the count. That's when he hits his home runs. That's when he gets his extra base hits. For the most part, he's going up the middle and spraying the ball. But once he gets a 1-0 count or ahead in the count, he looks for something he can spin on.
Two balls, no strikes. What options do the Expos have defensively on the infield now?
Well, I think right now they're willing to give up a run here. You still have to respect Dykstra in at third base, because if he hits a chopper, you have to be able to get him at first base. But for the most part, they'll give up a run here.
2 balls and a strike.
But you have to notice 2-0. He throws him a breaking ball. He gets a strike with it, but it was a breaking ball because the good hitters are sitting on that fastball, and the good pitchers know it, and they're going to try and counter it.
They set the target outside. Strike 2.
Another breaking ball. Dykstra thought it was up a little bit. And that's a big pitch. You can imagine it goes from, instead of being 3-1, it's now 2-2. Advantage to Henry, who can throw anything he'd like in this situation.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Dykstra. Stocker at third base. Butch Henry with the pitch. Dykstra takes low and a full count, 3-2. After Dykstra, Billy Hatcher there on the left. 3-2 pitch, and Dykstra fouled it away.
This is a big batter here for Henry. You know, no one likes to face Dykstra, but I'm sure he'd rather go ahead and not have him on and have Hatcher come up and try and drive in that run with less than 2 outs. He's got to really bear down here. He's got a good chance. He can make a good pitch at getting Lenny.
Pitching coach Joe Kerrigan watching. Henry in a jam, misses low, and walks Dykstra.
First thing that comes to your mind is that double play option. Hatcher still gets down the line pretty good, so tough guy to double up.
The veteran Billy Hatcher stands in. Felipe Alou back with the ball club. Had missed a couple of days. Felipe's father, Jose Rojas, passed away earlier this week, and Felipe Alou was in the Dominican Republic for the funeral. Rejoined the Expos last night. Dykstra draws a throw at first base. Stocker at third base.
And you hear it said time and time again that when your team scores, you have to shut down the other team in the bottom half of that inning so that, you know, you can keep the momentum on your side, because now once they score, they have the momentum.
Hatcher lifts a high fly ball to center field that's going to get the run in. Grissom comes up with the ball and throws to second base. No chance to get Stocker. So the run scores on the Hatcher sacrifice fly.
Yeah, it was hit pretty good. A ball over the middle of the plate. Hatcher did a good job. He got the ball deep enough. Well, that's not saying very much. Marquise Grissom plays right behind second base, so it's easy to get him to go back on a fly ball. But a good job by Hatcher getting that run in.
So a double, a sacrifice bunt, a walk and a sacrifice fly, and a 1-1 game. Ricky Jordan up, beat out an infield hit in the first inning. Butch Henry, I'm sure, in this situation is now even more concerned about Dykstra running.
Well, he definitely has a concern. I mean, if he gets down to second base, you know, that takes away the force at second, which would help you. But he's got to be real careful with Ricky Jordan here, because he can definitely hurt you. You get too concerned about the runner, and the hitter will hurt you.
One strike to Jordan.
Dykstra will steal a base when it's necessary. Doesn't go a lot against left-handers here.
That's fouled out of play, and Henry is ahead 0-2.
Well, Webster really has to be careful back there. Just as he sets up, he jumps inside a little bit, and hitters often look back there to see where the catcher is setting up. So he jumps inside. Ricky Jordan knows he's in there, so it helps the hitter quite a bit. So he has to be careful not to give the pitch away.
Henry checks Dykstra. First time up in a count situation similar to this, Henry used the off-speed pitch to get Jordan.
Yeah, he did. He threw him a changeup on the outside of the part of the plate that Ricky Jordan went after, pulled it back towards third base, and was able to beat it out for a base hit.
They're coming in again, aren't they? And he missed with his location, but got away with it, and he struck out Ricky Jordan. The Phils have tied it here in the bottom of the third. It's 1-1 at the end of 3. We'll return with Baseball Night in America, the Expos and the Phillies, after this from our ABC stations.
Center field.
We're back for the fourth inning in a 1-1 tie, and Sean Berry will lead it off for the Expos, followed by Moises Alou and Rondell White up against Fernando Valenzuela. Mike Lansing homered in the top of the third for the Expos, and the Phillies came right back on a Billy Hatcher sacrifice fly in the bottom of the third, cashing in a Kevin Stocker double, and we're 1-1 in the fourth. Berry, his first time up, struck out facing Fernando. Two balls and one strike to Sean Berry. Berry, for the most part, has been hitting down in the batting order, but a revamped lineup tonight with Larry Walker out of the lineup, and Berry moves up to number 2. 2 balls and a strike. A hard hit ball over third and down the line to the left field corner. Berry is on his way to second. So is the throw from Incaviglia, but not in time. And Berry is standing with a 2-base hit. For Sean Berry, his 18th double.
See, here's where Fernando used to be able to throw that hard fastball to be able to get it in or away from a hitter. Now it's a breaking ball inside, and Berry just turns on it by Batiste before he has a chance. There you see Batiste dive. No chance right there. It's down in the corner. Incaviglia over to cut it off as quickly as possible, but Berry's in there at second base pretty easily.
Sean Berry at second, and Moises Alou, the batter. He popped up his first time. A .333 average, 4th in the league. Fouled off to the left side.
Once through the lineup, these hitters have seen the off-speed pitches that Fernando is featuring, so he's going to have to be a little bit more accurate than he has been. But these guys, it's up to the hitter to make the adjustment once they've seen it.
Will Fernando and Todd Pratt try to come up with a different sequence of pitches to the hitters?
Well, I think that they'll probably do that, but his pitches are definitely, the difference will be location, not the pitch selection. Interesting right here in a situation where you want your hitter to advance the runner. I'm sure Alou will have a very tough time doing that against Fernando. So he's just going to try and hit it hard somewhere.
1-1 to Alou. A pickoff attempt at second. Berry got back safely with Stocker, the shortstop, coming in.
See, at second base, it's critical that you keep close. Make sure he stops moving towards third, because the ball hit hard to the outfield. You know, you have a shot to get them at the plate. If you let him just wander around down there, he'll score easily on a base hit.
A line drive to Batiste. Berry back quickly, and Alou is out. One away. Well, live and direct from Cooperstown, New York. Lefty Steve Carlton. Steve, congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame. Great to have you with us tonight.
Dave, thank you. It's wonderful being here. Thanks for having me on. Good to be here with my old buddy, Gary Maddox.
Hey, well, he started to smile as soon as you walked in. He just sensed a victory coming.
Secretary of Defense. This is the main guy right here. He can do it all.
No, this game is in honor of you, Lefty. This is flying along. You don't see many 2-hour games anymore.
An hour and 30 minutes.
Rondell White takes high and ball 1.
What you always used to admire about Valenzuela is his ability to never throw the ball over the meaty part of the plate, you know, the hitting section of the plate. And he did that, for so many years with the Dodgers. And watching him here today, he doesn't seem to have that sort of control that he did. He never, just like myself in those years, that you win a high degree of baseball games, you never throw the ball over the heart of the plate. And I was so amazed Fernando could do that at such a young age and so consistently for so many years.
A ball, no strikes to White. Inside. Gary brought up an interesting point, Steve, a while ago, talking about the young Montreal ball club facing Fernando Valenzuela, pitcher the young players have never seen. How did you go about facing young hitters that you'd never seen?
Well, I just, later in my career, I never saw the hitters anyway, whomever they were. So I pitched to those, like Fernando used to do. It reminds me of myself, the way I used to pitch. He pitched to Ted Williams. He used to he broke the strike zone down to where he had the 400 zone, was in the heart of the plate, 3 balls high, and everything else was 300, then 250. So I pitched to the 200 zone of the plate, and that's what Fernando used to do for so many years with the Dodgers. He had tremendous control. He always painted those corners. He would rather walk you than give in. He had control of all pitches, curveball, screwball, fastball, in and out, and he would give in. He wouldn't even give in to you. Like here, he'd rather walk you than let you have a base hit. But he didn't seem to have the control that he did back in those days. I don't know what his velocity is, but the one noticeable thing about it is you don't see him having the control that he once did. And maybe somebody talked him off his game. I should talk to him after the game here. But I mean, he painted. I painted, and that's the way successful pitchers win a great deal of games. You just have to work the corners with great frequency.
First and second, 1 out. Cordero walked his first time up and looks at a strike.
See, Fernando would never, or hardly ever, fall behind you back in his heyday. He'd always have the first pitch strike, fastball in the corner, screwball in the corner, you know, but it always was a strike. Now you see him falling behind, so when you fall behind, you have to give in to the hitter a little bit, and this is a dangerous policy.
Now, Lefty, I know when you pitched, you didn't hear much because you had those earplugs in, but you know, I've heard it said that you that you didn't even see the hitters. You just threw to the glove.
I think I got him in tonight. Yeah, I evolved that scenario. When I used to play the game in my mind, watching the umpire, the catcher, and the hitter in my mind before I actually played the game, I actually saw the hitter sort of disappear in the sense. In the mental games I used to play before I pitched the physical game. So I sort of evolved that into when I came out physically. I said, that's a good policy. It must be trying to tell me something. So when I went out there, I would never see who's on the on-deck circle, and the hitter would disappear for me too. So and I saw the catcher only, no umpire in it. And then it was just the glove. So it sort of evolved. I didn't start out like that, but it was a good policy for me.
Yeah, you had a lot of good policies, but the main thing was you had some talent, Jack. That nasty slider was the bottom line. I know you had to put it all together, but
you know, but it all evolved itself. I didn't have a good slider, you know. I had no slider, you know. So, and I evolved that off. Bob Gibson always had an elbow problem. He had a sore elbow from twisting the slider, so I decided that I didn't want to twist the slider, so I came up with a slider that I could throw like a fastball. That evolved, and it really took off from there. It was a slider I could throw as hard as my fastball. It was very, very deceptive. It looked like a screwball from up here. Very good pitch.
Fernando gets Will Cordero for out number 2 in the inning.
Got him out front.
Yeah, he set him up nicely. Work him inside, then throw that screwball, and you see him want to go for an inside pitch, but it's tailing away from him. Can't even get there. Cordero hitting 295, a pretty good hitter up there, too.
See, hitters want to swing at the fastball 98% of the time, and I had a real tight spin on my slider. It looked like a fastball till, you know, to about 2/3 of the way in, then it would start to break. So, you know, knowing that the hitters want to swing a fastball, you have to sort of encourage or entice them to get themselves out by working the corners, working down the zone, tightening up the spin on your breaking ball, and just sort of knowing that they want to work off that fastball, and you can work like a half a ball off the corner, full ball off the corner, things like that. So just to entice them to swing at something that looks inviting.
Lenny Webster, the batter, who grounded out his first time. And it's a ball and a strike to Webster with 2 Expos aboard in a 1-1 tie, top of the 4th.
David, are we supposed to let you talk?
No, you're doing just great.
I wanted to demystify Lefty here a little bit. I mean, he had a reputation when he played as being, you know, just focused on his game and what have you. You were telling me about the intimidation factor of not speaking to the opposing players. You think that means games won for you over the course of your career?
Absolutely. You know, watching Bob Gibson's demeanor on the field, the way he would, you know, hitters love to come up and talk to the starting pitchers because then they feel comfortable like they're good buddies and things like that. And I watch Bob Gibson, you know, turn his back and intimidate these guys and holler at them and just really mess them up mentally. So, you know, you have an edge going out there. And I look at everything, and I watch everybody. I'm very observant about nature, about life, and I watch everybody, what they do, and I pick out the things that I think I can apply to my particular game. So this is how it evolved itself for me. So, you know, I saw Gibby do that. I said, well, hell, I'm gonna be, you know, not so a nice guy, you know, and I did that. Early in my career, I didn't like to pitch inside, and Timmy McCarver used to, you know, sit behind the batter, and I couldn't even see him, so I was forced to throw inside. So, and you know, it's a necessary part of the game. You're not trying to really knock anybody down, but you have to straighten the hitter up or push him back off the plate to open up that outside part of the play, because if you don't have that, then a pitcher has nothing to pitch to. So it's an important pitch, and I hope they don't really try to take it away from the pitcher with all these rules they're coming up with.
2 outs, 2 on, 1-1 in the 4th, and Webster gets a rocket into center field past Fernando's glove. Here comes a go-ahead run Barry scores from second on a single up the middle by Lenny Webster. And all of the things that we're talking about there, Fernando fell behind 3-1 and then paid a price.
He got the ball up in the strike zone. Again, I think the lack of velocity on his fastball, he just cannot keep the hitters honest. And then when he makes a mistake, they're looking off speed. And you'll see that's a slider up in the strike zone a little bit.
It's on the heart of the plate there.
I mean, right up the middle, hit hard.
If you don't, what the key, I think the key to this, or what has a great deal of importance to this, is if Fernando is losing a little bit of velocity, it's imperative that he does not fall behind on the count, because it just gets worse. You just paint yourself deeper into that corner. You must throw first strike pitches. Now he has an advantage. Now you can throw a half ball off the plate. You can throw a full ball off the plate. And this guy will offer at these pitches. You can throw a breaking ball down in the strike zone, in and down the strike zone, up and in, and he will be more likely to offer at those pitches. So it's so imperative, if you're losing something, that you throw more first pitch strikes.
Randy Milligan struck out his first time up, looking at strike 3. Swings here and pops the ball up. Out near second, Kevin Stocker is there, and he's got it. Midway in the 4th, 2-1 Expos at the Vet in Philadelphia.
So we're not only one.
At Veterans Stadium, the Expos have a 2-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 4th. The Phillies coming to bat, and of course with us, Steve Carlton, Gary Maddox, and Steve, when you look over at Gary, now what baseball memories come flooding back when you look at your center fielder?
Well, there's one story he probably doesn't want to tell tonight, but it was when he was with the San Francisco Giants before he got traded over the Philadelphia Phillies. He had you might want to tell this story. You and Bobby Bonds had a little routine you used to do after Bobby had hit a leadoff homer or something, and you'd come around the bases, and you had a little routine you used to do at home plate.
Yeah, I did. We'll get into that, Steve, at the ceremony today. Steve, that was excellent. It was good to see you out there. Man, I'm just proud of you. Congratulations on being into the Hall of Fame there. To play with guys that are in the Hall of Fame is it's a tremendous feeling to know that you were part of that and that you contributed in a small way. But I'm happy for you, man. I wish you the best.
You got another guy coming up next year.
Smizzy.
Michael Jack, yeah.
Steve, when you went over to that car, was it a good feeling to see a 1972 car still running?
Yeah. What do you mean by that? Yeah, absolutely. I don't. Yeah. To squash those rumors, I don't want that car. I want an old pickup truck is what I want. I want a 72 pickup truck.
Yeah, what a year.
I'm a pickup truck kind of guy now, living in Colorado, so I don't need a car.
Pete Incaviglia up here, flying to center his first time, 0 for 1.
As big as the house, isn't it?
Oh, strong.
Whew, powerful guy. I'd have to be taking a little off. Oop, hey.
Came back with a fastball.
That looks like a strike.
Yeah, you probably would have wanted that. Huh?
I'd be looking at.
Maybe if Frank Pulley was behind the plate like the old days, you'd have gotten it too.
I talked to Frank Pulley a couple of weeks ago about the night that lefty struck out Tim Wallach, April 29th, 1981. It was a 3,000th strikeout of Lefty's career. Incaviglia down on strikes here. And Lefty struck out the side, the Expos hitters in that inning. And Frank Pulley, of course, loves to work the plate. He lives for that 4th day when he works behind home plate.
Showtime. Yeah.
And it was a show. And to this moment, I swear that the last 2 strikes, strike 2 and strike 3 to Tim Wallach, Pulley called before the ball got to the plate. He was jumping out of his shoes back there. They were strikes then.
The only one that we have the luxury of seeing right now is the 3rd strike, and the camera's quite a bit above the field, so it looks a little high in the zone, but it was a slider, and it did come back down in the strike zone and covered all the plate. So from the best, I thought it was a strike back then, and it looked like a strike now, and it's close enough. You got to maybe be swinging, and
it was a strike.
You have circumstances that prevails that you got to know. You got to be swinging.
1-1. And Randy Reddy pulls it foul to the left side. Reddy fly to center field in the 2nd. Butch Henry ahead on this count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Missed low, 2-2.
How about Randy Reddy? I mean, he was in Ottawa. We heard he had gotten released, and next thing you know, he shows up and he's playing in Philadelphia and hitting 5th on this ball club.
Last summer, he was in Rochester and got released by the Red Wings so that he could go to the big leagues with the Expos. And Randy Reddy played in 40 games down the stretch for the Expos, first, second, and third base. Was at their AAA club at Ottawa this year when they got the opportunity with the Phillies. Reddy gives us a ride high into the air to left field. Rondell White, though, is under this and has it for out number 2. 2 down in the 4th. Tomorrow on ABC, it's America's Funniest Hour. Then Clark's secret may be revealed on Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Then Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter star in Steven Spielberg's Always. That's tomorrow night here on ABC. 2 down and Todd Pratt will bat. And tonight on ABC, with Gary Maddox, I'm Dave Van Horne, and joining us, Steve Carlton, who was honored in pregame ceremonies here, a homecoming again, the number retirement ceremony, and now tonight, following induction into the Hall of Fame at Cooperstown.
Steve is noted for his pitching, but he's on the bat pretty good. I remember a playoff game. We took Valenzuela deep, a grand slam. That had to be a pretty good.
Well, it looked like I was kind of laying back, hoping you guys do something. It didn't look like you were going to do anything. So
you had to do it all.
Sorry, you know, like I said, you got like when you don't talk to the press, you got to do what's necessary. You know what I mean?
Todd Pratt is out on the fly ball to right, and the Phillies have gone in order in the 4th. And it's 2-1 Expos as we head to the 5th inning at the bat. Inning number 5 in Philadelphia. And a 2-1 Montreal lead. Mike Lansing, who homered to open the scoring in this game back in the 3rd inning, faces Fernando Valenzuela again here in the 5th. Lansing, Henry, and Grissom. And ball 1 to Mike Lansing. Expos and the Phillies tonight, they've had a long and storied history playing against one another since the Expos came into the league in 1969. And at that particular time, Steve, you were still with the St. Louis Cardinals. You played in the first, you were there for the first game ever at Jarry Park. We were just kidding about a grand slam home run that your old shortstop and now general manager Dal Maxville hit. First grand slam in Montreal.
Dal Maxville was not known for his extraordinary power, of course. And I do remember that. I was there that evening, and those winds, those tremendous winds, used to kick up in the evening, and in Montreal always blew out to right field and right center, and actually got one up on those winds. He hit it very well, but he can only do so much with his power. He got up on those winds, and it just went off against the scoreboard.
3-1 pitch, and Lansing pops this one up to foul territory behind first. Jordan is there, and he's got it. Took it right away from a young fan.
Another pop-up. We're seeing both pitchers doing an excellent job of working both sides of the plate, inside, outside. And then when they throw that little slider in on the hands, it's just jamming the hitters. They're not getting the bat there.
1 out, nobody on, and this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without express written consent from the Office of the Commissioner. Henry was called out on strikes his first time up. He leads this game 2-1. Steve, in those days of coming over to the Phillies, it continued. You had some great head-to-head confrontations with a little right-hander who is now Vice President Baseball Operations for the Expos, Bill Stoneman.
Yes, he was a great pitcher back then. I just, we always used to have real tough games together. It was tough scoring a run off either one of us, and he was quite an adversary back then. And I just, he was a very, very good competitor, and I admire his style back then.
You with that slider, and he with that big curveball that was tough to handle.
But he was always ahead of you, always on top of you, not giving in, and just tremendous control.
Henry lines the ball to Dykstra for out number 2. 2 down. Tomorrow here on ABC Sports, more international competition from the Goodwill Games, coverage of mixed team gymnastics, ice dancing, and the women's gold medal basketball game begins at 1:30 Eastern Time tomorrow on ABC.
I mean, as far as Montreal, we go back. We clinched there a couple of times, the division titles. A great city. We had a lot of fun there, doing a lot of celebrating back in the late 70s and early 80s.
It would seem like we clinched 2 or 3 times there, just like in Pittsburgh. It wasn't those 2 towns we didn't seem to clinch.
Marquise Grissom has flied out twice, once to left, once to center, 2 down here in the 5th. The Expos up 2-1.
You're not going to finish that story that we started earlier?
I thought you were going to forget about it. It's 2 outs. You never start a story with 2 outs left. Yeah, I've learned that by doing this a couple of years now. I mean, but you obviously the Hall of Fame was a big deal for you. I know it was emotional for you, even though you didn't show it. But Smitty's going in next year. Any advice for him on how to handle that situation?
Yeah, keep your speech very light. It's so. You watch Scooter. Scooter just said the word fans, and he started to cry. It just tears, and he stopped it immediately. And it's such an emotional time, and you know it's tough to get through. And I just decided, you know, like we'll come back to this.
Marquise Grissom has struck out, and 3 up, 3 down, 2-1 Montreal midway in the 5th.
Look close, folks. This is not softball, but real Major League type baseball.
The All-American Girls League played a tough 110-game season and won the affection and loyalty of fans wherever they went. The league lasted nearly a decade, and many thought that one day women might finally play alongside men.
From the upcoming PBS documentary, Baseball, a General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
In Philadelphia, the Expos lead the Phillies 2-1. Phil's coming to bat now in their half of inning number 5 with the bottom third of the order. And we are talking, of course, with Hall of Famer Steve Carlton. And Gary had asked Steve if he had any advice for Schmidt, Mike Schmidt, who will win next year.
Yeah, I think that you know, watching all these things unfold, like I said, I watched Scooter just say the word fan. You know, it's a very emotional situation. He just said fans. But I mean, what he was thinking about all this appreciation, all this, what was so wonderful about all of this, you know, his following, his personal fans, that these people come out to see us play, and it's such an emotional thing. It does have an impact on the players. To just bring up the word fans, Scooter started to, his eyes welled up with tears, and he said, stop it, don't do that. So, and you know, it is highly emotional, and I just think that Michael Jack ought to stay away from those sensitive areas and keep it upbeat and hit the areas that you have to hit and just keep it light and upbeat, because you can get trapped and
never finish. Huh?
And absolutely, because I'm emotional. I know, you know, if I start that, you're never going to get over it. So, and it's a tough area because it seems like maybe you're not sensitive or anything, but it's so emotional that you should hold those ideas down or try to keep it upbeat, because it is an upbeat situation. It's just a wonderful feeling, and you can't keep it on that level.
I know that you thought about the moment. Was it all you thought it would be?
Yeah, well, I mean, according to my speech, like we just talked about it, if we're to talk about emotional things, it would have been much longer and much more emotional for me. But I tried to keep it in perspective along those lines that I thought were healthy for me. And yeah, it was. It could have been more as far as emotional, but I saw Leo DeRocha's son go through that, and like I said, the Scooter even mentioned that word. So it could have been more along those lines. It was good for me because I pretty much held to what I wanted to say and the areas that I wanted to address and the people I wanted to address and give thanks to. And I was very happy. I was pretty calm right up to the whole deal. I was a little tense on the podium. I surrendered to the fact that I was an amateur, and I said, if I screw up, then I surrendered to the fact that I'm an amateur. I'm not paid for this, and you know, it's a special feeling when you surrender to the possibilities of those events, and you're able to pull it off. You know, you become more relaxed because you admit that you're not a professional.
Kevin Stocker doubled and scored the Philadelphia run in the 3rd.
We do have a game here tonight, don't we?
Pretty good.
I'm sorry for
not bad
talking so
either.
much.
We don't have many Hall of Famers around, Jack.
We're all Hall of Famers our own right.
A one-time wonderful opportunity for us. Here's a ball bunted right out in front of the plate. Webster made the play.
It was a good play. No direction from Kevin Stocker. You want to push that ball down the first base or the third base line and get it away from the catcher. You have to make that third baseman field it. Right here, you see, just deads it right there in the dirt. It stops, and Webster out there in a hurry. And it's an easy play from there.
Lenny Webster made the play to throw out Kevin Stocker. Fernando Valenzuela bunted his first time up. Nobody on here, 2 outs. The Expos lead the Phils, and a line drive into left center. Fernando has a base hit.
We mentioned he can still swing the bat, and Henry trying to get ahead of him, just like he's been doing with the rest of the guys. From a fastball right there, Fernando doesn't try and do too much. It's a line drive in the left center field. It's a good piece of hitting. Only the 3rd hit for the Phillies.
It's so important as a pitcher, without the designated hitter rule in the National League, that you practice those types of skills that contribute, because that would be a big out. There'd be the inning would be ending right there, and Dykstra would never get a chance to hit. So that's all I try to do, put the ball in play, and it's so important that you contribute, because there's no designated hitter in the National League.
Lenny Dykstra up with Fernando aboard. Dykstra 0 for 1 with a walk. Well, you hit Fernando for the max. Where was it? Los Angeles, the Grand Slam?
Yeah, I got, I think it was a hanging slider. I'm not quite sure. So just something that didn't, it was a breaking ball, didn't break. So I just, I swung on it, just attacked it.
That's what he was talking about earlier when he said he didn't look like we were going to do anything, so he had to take matters into his own hand.
It's important that you're just not someone up there with a bat in his hand. I mean, you have to be able to swing it, put the ball in play somewhere between those lines, and contribute in this fashion. Because especially if you're going to finish a game 7, 8, 9, if you can't hit, you're not going to be around. They're going to pinch hit for you. So to win a lot of games, you got to be around the latter part of the game.
Steve, you got to tell. When I first got traded over to Philadelphia from San Francisco, Lefty came up to me and said, "Come here, here's one thing you got to do." He walked over to Larry Boyd, put his hands around his throat, and he said, "You got to squeeze his throat every now and then, or else he'll get on your nerves." So, there's Larry. But I know you've had nothing but compliments about the importance of Larry Boyd to our 1980 team and the good teams we had here in Philadelphia.
It goes without saying, but I mean, his attitude in the clubhouse was such that he was so feisty, and he used to just bury Lazinski, and I just, like I said, it's like talking to the media. You don't talk to me, you do. You figure out a way. So I figured, well, if Larry wants to get on me, I'm gonna make him pay for it. So I'd go up and squeeze his face. It hurt for about a week, and I said, okay, now we understand each other. Nothing personal, but it's all it is resolving an issue. And I just, through the simple observation, I said, well, the best way to do it is put the big hurt on him. He's a great guy.
He's a lot of fun.
He laughs about that. No damage was done.
3-2, the count on Len Dykstra. 2 outs. Fernando is the base runner. Dykstra lines a single to left. Fernando got a head start, but still has to throw the anchor out at second base.
I'd be on third base right now.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'd be there.
That's a good piece of hitting by Lenny. I mean, Henry's been tough on Dykstra, and watch what he does with this. I mean, it's a fastball outside part of the plate, stays there and goes with it nicely.
That's good hitting.
Yeah, that's excellent hitting. Good pitching also. Now, Valenzuela, there's an advantage to him being on third. He could score a lot easier. Now, on a single, it's going to be tough at the plate.
2 outs, back-to-back hits, Valenzuela and Dykstra. And Billy Hatcher up. Popped up his first time, then hit a sacrifice fly to center field in the 3rd inning. 1 strike on Hatcher.
It's a little slider caught maybe an 1/8 of an inch of the black there. This guy's right on target tonight, both of them.
Fouled away. Very appropriate, I think, that on this night Lefties night at Veterans Stadium that this is a pitcher's game. 2-1 Expos. There have been 3 Montreal hits. There have been 4 Philadelphia hits. So the story of this game so far really is Fernando Valenzuela and Butch Henry.
This is our night. It's a celebration of life.
Well, I talked about how Webster keeps jumping inside or jumping outside. He gives the hitter, he sees that movement, he can get a good feel for where the ball is, the location, and thus the pitch.
One and two. And Hatcher lines a ball at the left fielder, Rondell White. He hit that ball hard. No runs, 2 hits, a couple left. 2-1 Montreal into 5. Welcome back to Baseball Night in America. Dave Van Horne along with Gary Maddox and our very special guest on Lefty Night at the Vet, Steve Carlton. Steve, before we let you rejoin your family and friends, Gary and I both, of course, thank you very much for taking time to come over to our booth and talking with us and visiting with the fans.
Dave, it was fun. Thanks for having me. Appreciate this opportunity.
Hey,
the game's fun up here.
I'll see you, man. I'm going to work on my snowplow so I can come back there and ski those mountains of Colorado.
Well, hey, we'll have you doing it. Thanks for having me on, Gary.
Okay.
It's great to see you.
Sean Berry to lead off the 6th. Pitch is high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Berry, Alou, and White for the Expos in the 6th inning. 2 balls and a strike. Well, Gary Maddox, that was fun to have a chance to visit. I'm sure for you to sit down in the booth tonight and share that visit with a lot of baseball fans and some good baseball talk with Steve Carlton.
Right. I run into Lefty from time to time, and I saw him the other night, and he said he'd love to come on. He's just, I mean, he's handling this well. His celebrity, he knows people wants his time, and he's been very kind with that.
Berry gives this a ride high into the air, deep left center, way back. Dykstra watching, and it is gone.
Steve Carlton proves to be a prophet there. Valenzuela again behind in the count, has to come fat to Berry. The guys that have hurt Valenzuela tonight are Berry and Lansing, and that pitch there just over the heart of the plate. You know, you want to have good location, but 2-1, he comes right down the heart of the plate, and Berry all over it. Look at that extension. And Dykstra thought maybe he had a shot at it, but the ball just kept carrying.
3-1 Expos. Broken bat grounder, Batiste. And the throw pulls Jordan off the bag, but he was tagged, and the Expos will argue this.
Well, it's interesting. They said he tagged him in the chest. If it was anything, it looked like he may have swung at him from behind. We'll have to see this on the replay. But this ball shatters the bat of Alou. And you see the tag there, nowhere close.
No.
Here it is, Batiste, a wild throw. He's been having his troubles over at third base. And you see right there, just it wasn't even that close.
Felipe Alou went out to argue. Right now, let's go to John Saunders.
All right, guys, we'll keep an eye on your game, but the Braves and the Reds, you know Atlanta's chasing Montreal. That's Terry Pendleton. Laces this one out to right field. Fred McGriff comes around from second. He is in there to score, and 2-0. Atlanta's taking a lead over the Reds. The Mets and the Marlins, the bases are full for Jeff Conine, and he rips this one towards the gap in left center field. It finds a hole, gets to the gap. Barbary, Carr, and Sheffield come in to score. 4-1, the Marlins take the lead over the Mets, who are looking to get to 500. And Jeff Bagwell, 2-0 San Francisco. Not for long. His 39th home run of the year is a 3-run shot. 115 runs batted in. That's 21 more than Dante Bichette, who's number 2 on the list. 3-2 is the lead now, the Astros over the Giants. Back to Dave and Gary.
All right, thank you, John. Fernando Valenzuela just got Rondell White on the fly ball. 2 down. And nobody on here in the Expos half of the 6th. 3-1 Montreal. Toby Borland is up in the Philadelphia bullpen. Will Cordero has walked and struck out. Ball 1 to Cordero.
Saw Cordero go down on that change-up or screwball away the last time up. Still trying to figure out Fernando.
Ground ball base hit out into left center. A 2-out single for Cordero.
The Phillies playing Cordero to pull in the infield. This ball, instead of trying to pull it, he just takes it right back up the middle, and that's what you have to do. You have to be willing to look the other way off guys who are throwing this type of off-speed stuff. See where the infield is playing Cordero way around the pull. All he does is go right back up the middle, and it's an easy base hit. Normal straightaway shortstop, they may have had a shot at that.
2 outs, Cordero aboard. Webster single to drive in a run in the 4th inning. Takes a strike here. You'll probably recall that Cordero's 15 out of 17 in the stolen base department and a threat to go.
It's picked off. He was on first base earlier by Fernando.
1 ball, 1 strike to Webster.
It's tough off of left-handers. I mean, if you're not like a prolific base stealer and study their moves like a Lou Brock used to do, you know, you just don't know when to go off of left-handers, and you hang back a little bit. So I'm sure Cordero over there is trying to figure out if he can pick up anything off of Fernando. Fernando, like I said, not an excellent move over to first base, but he's so deceptive. He does things with his legs that make you not sure if he's coming over or not.
2 balls and a strike. The count on Webster. 2-2 now. Expos started the ninth 5 games ahead of the Atlanta Braves in the standings, and as John told us moments ago, the Braves have a lead at Cincinnati. Boy, they hammered the Cincinnati Reds last night, 16-6.
Yeah, they have. I think most people thought that the Atlanta Braves pitching was going to be enough to carry them way past the Expos in the end. But Montreal, this young ball club, has just shown no quit at all. In fact, their pitching is getting stronger.
The Expos got off to a 4-9 start. We're 8.5 games behind Atlanta on April 18th. Tonight, they're 5 games ahead of Atlanta. The 3-2 pitch missed inside, and Webster draws a walk. Cordero to second, and Milligan will get a shot here. We'll see if Jim Fregosi stays with Fernando. He's looking down toward the bullpen where he's had Borland warming up, and Gary, it looks like that's going to be it for Fernando.
Yeah, it is. They're going to bring in this side-arming, tall, lanky right-hander that just gives right-handers fits, Toby Borland. You know, in a time when the Phillies minor league system has just not produced, they have had a few surprises. One of them is Borland, who's come in. They brought him up, and he's done quite well for him.
So Fernando goes after 5 2/3. He is behind 3-1, leaves a couple of runners that belong to him. We'll be right back after this. Two outs and 2 on for the Expos, and Borland's first pitch goes to the backstop, and that'll move Cordero to third base and Webster to second base.
Borland's a tall side wheeling. I mean, it's really tough for hitters, you know, who see mostly 3/4 arm throwers. Here you're going to see right here, it's down there, slider. He tries to throw to Milligan, but just can't get it over the plate. First pitch coming in like that, he's a little wild.
The 4th wild pitch he's thrown in the 29 innings he's worked here for the Phillies. He's been up a couple of times. Originally came up to replace Tommy Green, and then was sent back to Scranton Wilkesboro and was recalled June 21st. Borland into his 22nd game. Milligan drives this ball to right. Hatcher back, makes the catch on the warning track. Out number 3. That's it for the Expos in the 6th. A home run by Barry and a 3-1 lead headed to the Phillies half of inning 6 at the Vet. Dave Van Horne along with Gary Maddox, and we're at Veterans Stadium 3-1. The Expos lead the Phillies, and the Phils come to bat in the bottom of the 6th. The Expos have right-hander Tim Scott up in the bullpen. Butch Henry working on into the 6th inning now with a 2-run lead. Fernando Valenzuela out of the game, having gone 5 2/3, and Toby Borland coming on to get that final out in the top of the 6th. And the Phils will have Jordan, Incaviglia, and Reddy to bat here in the 6th inning. Phil's trying to get it going offensively. A couple of nights ago, it was John Lieber and the Pirates that held the Phillies to 3 hits, just 2 hits last night. Monday night, ABC Sports will be in upstate New York as Jim Kelly leads his 4-time defending AFC champion Buffalo Bills against the rebuilding Washington Redskins in a primetime preseason special. Live coverage begins at 8 Eastern Monday night here on ABC Sports. Jordan to bat. He has one of the 4 Philadelphia hits. An infield hit in the 1st inning struck out his next time up against Henry.
Yeah, hits, runs, they all have been hard for the Phillies to come by here in the last few days. You know, there has been a lot of changes in their lineup, no question about it. A lot of guys hurt, but you know, they just have not put together any sustained drive. Right before the All-Star break, they were contemplating making a move, getting someone in here to play third base that could provide some offense. But right after the break, things just fell apart for the Phillies altogether.
A smash past Butch Henry out into center field, and hit number 2 for Ricky Jordan. So let's see if this is the start of something for the Phillies. That's hit number 5. Jordan aboard, the cleanup hitter Pete Incaviglia to bat. He's flied out to center field and gone down on strikes.
Here's Ricky Jordan. Remember, he pulled that ball the last time to the third baseman and got an infield hit. This time goes right back up the middle where you want to look on a guy like Henry.
Double play depth on the Expos infield. Incaviglia batting .233. Henry slowing the pace as soon as the Phillies get a runner aboard. 0-1.
That ball was outside part of the plate, and Pete Incaviglia took a big swing at it. You know, when you do hit those balls, when you take that bigger swing at a ball outside, you're just going to pull it and make it an easy fly ball to left field. Look where he's sitting up. Look at the swing Incaviglia takes at it. You know, he wants to try and pull that ball into left field. And you have to really look back up the middle and over to right. He has the power to hit it out at any place in this ballpark.
He was fooled by that pitch, wasn't he?
He was almost mad at Henry. But the pitch before is a fastball away. So what does he come back with now? Change up or slider inside. Just completely fooled him. He's not thinking along the same lines as Henry, who's on tonight.
0-2 on Incaviglia. Still 0-2. Ricky Jordan at first base, a leadoff single here in the 6th. There've only been 10 hits in this game, 5 aside. A short while back, you alluded to the Atlanta Braves and their pitching staff, Gary. I suppose if there's any one stat right now among the league stats that would surprise people is to find that the Expos pitching staff leads Major League Baseball.
Well, I think so. But, you know, it's really gotten contagious with this ball club. One guy does something, and they see how they can have success. When you have confidence in your team on defense, that you don't have to get everyone out yourself, it's amazing how mature you become and how quickly you can grow.
Well, Butch Henry has grown by leaps and bounds this year, 8-2 coming into this game. Randy Reddy has flied out twice. One out here following the strikeout of Incaviglia.
Talk about Henry pitching in a place like Colorado where you feel every pitch has to be perfect or they're going to hit out of the ballpark on you. It's a big difference.
Of course, the speed that the Expos have pretty much throughout their team goes hand in hand with the pitching. Everyone thinks of the stolen bases and the doubles, but the speed helps the Montreal club so much defensively.
It helps you defensively. I mean, just think about pressure on the bases that you put on the pitching staff if you have good speed. But on defense, I mean, when Larry Walker was playing right field, Alou and left and Grissom in center, that's as good an outfield as you're going to find in baseball. The pitchers, I mean, they love that. Especially with a guy like Grissom, plays so shallow. They know that the cheap pitch are not going to happen.
2 balls, no strikes.
And if one guy plays good out there, then the other guy starts to play good, and you take pride in playing together as a unit. Hey, we're not going to let anything get to the wall on us or anything like that. And you can see that brings smiles to the manager's face when you can throw an outfield together like the one the Montreal Expos have.
Two balls and a strike to Randy Reddy. Randy Milligan holding Ricky Jordan at first base. Now 3-1 to Reddy. A veteran hitter at the plate.
Know your hitters in this situation. Is this a guy you can challenge? That's what Henry has to go after him now.
He did. 3-2.
Now, Fregosi may choose to run Ricky Jordan. Not a lot of speed, so hopefully if he can get a little start going, he might be able to stay out of a double play.
Randy Reddy and Butch Henry, of course, were teammates early in the year at Ottawa, the International League. Jordan starting up. Reddy draws the walk, and the Phils have something going. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. By Wendy's, after 25 years, quality is still our recipe. And Hanes underwear, activewear, and socks. Just wait till we get our Hanes on you. Well, Felipe Alou out to the mound. A single by Jordan. 1 out later, a walk to Randy Reddy. And Butch Henry upset. You can tell by looking at the expression on his face, upset with that base on balls.
Well, and control has really been the key to success. You know, you get ahead of the hitters, and then you keep the options open as to what pitch you want to make. He didn't do that with Randy Reddy, and now he finds himself in a position where he's coming out of the game.
The Expos are making a double switch. Cliff Floyd comes into the game to play at first base, and he'll go into the 9th spot in the Expos batting order. Randy Milligan comes out of the game. That vacates the number 7 spot, and that's where Scott will hit in the batting order. Scott comes into his 38th game, a 5-2 record, 2.49 ERA. Braves still hold that 2-0 lead at Riverfront Stadium, top of the 7th. Maddox going strong in that game. Marlins leading the Mets in a 3-game New York win streak on the line in the 6th inning at Shea. Jeff Conine having a big night. Cardinals and the Pirates now tied at 2. Houston leading San Francisco 6-2. Jeff Bagwell with number 39. And the Cubs with a 6-0 lead on the Padres in the top of the 7th. Over in the American League, the Tigers leading the Blue Jays 3-2. Joe Carter has hit number 26, now has 101 runs batted in. Red Sox leading 8-4 in the first game. Won the first game, rather. That's a final. Second game tonight. 7-0 Indians. Baerga with a couple. Twins lead the Yankees 7-4. Kirby's hit a home run. Orioles have the Brewers 3-0. Sixth inning at County Stadium. The Mariners leading the Royals 11-2. That's the bottom of the sixth there. And the White Sox and the Angels later, along with the Rangers and the A's. So on this Saturday, Butch Henry coming out of the game here with a 3-1 lead. The Expos trying to stay 5 ahead of the Atlanta Braves in the East. The Reds losing, and the Astros with a chance to move to within 1 game of Cincinnati in the Central. There are the numbers on Tim Scott. And he has 1 save. A few years ago in the Dodgers system, Tim Scott and John Wetland were the 2 hardest throwers the Dodgers had. Tim Scott had to undergo elbow surgery. He's come back. He throws well into the 90s.
That hits to innings pitched is a nice ratio that he has. As do most of the Expos players. I think all but 2 or 3 of them give up less hits than the innings pitched. And hitters look at that. When you go into a game, you like to know what the other pitcher does. Is he a guy you feel comfortable off of? Or is he going to give you trouble? Is he a strikeout guy? We just had a balk right here. Scott dropped the ball on the mound.
Well, a mistake by Tim Scott has cost dearly, because now the door is open for the Phillies. Jordan to third. Reddy to second. Reddy is the tying run.
Here you see Scott standing up there, just takes the ball out of his glove. He's just standing there, and you're going to see that it just all of a sudden falls out. Some pitchers are active with that ball. They're flipping it around, and you just knock it up against your leg or something, you're in trouble.
Todd Pratt is 0 for 2.
Pratt is just hitting 178, but I think he's a much better hitter. I thought that was an excellent move by Alou to get Henry out to not have to face Pratt. We'll see about that.
1-1 pitch swung on and missed. Let's pause for our ABC stations to identify themselves. Veterans Stadium, the Phillies have something going. They're down by 2. They've got the tying run at second base. Second and third for Todd Pratt. The count is 1-2. Fouled out of play. Jeff Shaw now up in the Expos bullpen. 1-2 pitch. Scott strikes out Pratt.
He went after him with gas. He has a good fastball. High fastballs. He climbed the ladder with him, started him out low, and he ends up with the fastball up high, and Todd Pratt can't get around on it. That ball, no one can get around on the fastball that high, that hard.
Now, second and third, Kim Batiste up. Kevin Stocker on deck, but 2 outs in the inning now, and a 2-run Montreal lead, and Kerrigan visits the pitcher.
Well, he's telling him, obviously, you have a base open, but, you know, you have to go at Kim Batiste. You have to go at him hard right now. I think the advantage is in the fact that they have a right-hander on the mound. That's the situation. That's the matchup they were looking for. You bring in Stocker now. He's a switch hitter, and it changes the strategy a little bit that way. And you'd rather have Stocker hitting right-handed. So, you know, this is the guy he needs to get.
Kim Batiste has bounced to third and struck out. One strike to Batiste. Scott is trying to work around a single and a walk given up by the starter Butch Henry, but the balk that he committed puts the tying run in scoring position.
Right, so he really has to reach back now. I think he has a lot that he wants to prove on this hitter.
Took something off that pitch.
That was an overhand curveball, the first one he's thrown tonight. Not good control, but it's obvious. All he has to do is just rear back and throw. If he can get that curveball over, that puts him in the class of unhittable.
Heathcliff Slocum is up in the Philadelphia bullpen. Fouled out of play, strike two. The Phils right here, a base hit away from tying this game and erasing the Expos lead. They erased a 1-0 lead with a run in the third inning. There are the runners at third base, Jordan; at second base, Randy Reddy.
Jim Fregosi watching the action from the dugout. There's Dennis Menke, batting instructor, next to him. But climbing that ladder with that good fastball is a good pitch for Scott.
1-2 pitch, bounced to Barry at third base. And that's it for the Phils. Scott got the job done here in the sixth inning, and the Expos lead 3-1 through 6. We'll return with Baseball Night in America, the Expos and the Phillies, after this from our ABC stations.
Chopper 6, only on Action News.
Mike Lansing just thrown out by Kim Batiste on a terrific play by the third baseman.
Boy, he laid down a dandy. Lansing, after hitting a home run, comes back this time, drops a bunt of beauty. Kim Batiste charging, bare hands it. Look at that. That's a great bunt right there. Batiste coming in, some anticipation, and just makes a fine off-balance throw to just get Lansing. Good bunt, good play. Batiste, who had been struggling in the outfield, made 2 errors last night that really helped the Expos. This night, able to redeem himself a little bit.
One down, and Cliff Floyd is the batter. He's hitting for the first time since coming into the game. Batting .284. The rookie's hit 4 home runs, has 40 runs batted in. Ball 1 to Floyd.
Floyd's a good-looking player. Boy, the potential there. Light bat, it looks like, it just really whips it.
Felipe Alou, his manager, maintains that in the not-too-distant future, you'll start to see the power that Cliff Floyd displayed in the minor leagues at the major league level. He's still learning a lot about the game at the major league level, but he's hit for a good average.
It's amazing. It almost clicks for hitters. You know, just like learning to hit the slider or all of a sudden hitting with power. You do it in a game and it just, you know, boom, it snaps for you. You say, that's what it is. And then you're able to carry it over.
Floyd draws a walk here with 1 out in the 7th inning. And Alou, of course, is a man of great patience, which he acquired being a minor league manager in the development system. He had to work with young players at the A, the AA, and the AAA level. He's carried that patience over with a young team in the National League, and it's really paid off.
It does. And for each team has different needs, and that's why managers are selected. If you have a young ball club, Felipe's ideal because he understands the patience of it. A veteran ball club, you're not going to find a better manager than Jim Fregosi. He's a player's manager, and the players respond to different types of leadership. And there are different kinds, too, believe me.
Yeah, there are. Grissom 0 for 3, 2 fly balls, and a strikeout.
For a pitcher like Borland, left-handers really neutralize him. Right-handers have trouble picking up the ball off of guys like this because he looks like he's coming right at them from third base.
Tom Edens is up in the Philadelphia bullpen. Now, a lot of base runners, as soon as they see a pitcher in the game over 6'2", figure, well, I can run on him. He's tall and he's big, and it's going to take him a while to get the ball to the plate.
I agree. We should expect if somebody gets on, oops, there's a guy, that this should be going pretty quick. I mean, not a good move over to first base in a long time to deliver. But you got to make him throw strikes. I mean, to run right now without him having thrown a strike is risking running yourself out of an inning. Let him establish himself out there. He's going to throw strikes, and then there's plenty of time to run.
The Expos did not run. They waited out Borland, and he walked Grissom. Back-to-back walks. Johnny Padres heads out to the mound to visit Borland. With one out here in the 7th inning and 2 aboard for the Expos, who have a 3-1 lead. Borland has walked 14 batters in 30 innings.
Johnny Padres right there. You got to go after these hitters. You can't give them too much respect. You get behind in the count, you're going to get hurt. Go after them. Let it fly.
Sean Berry has had a good night after striking out in the 1st inning. He doubled and scored in the 4th and hit a home run in the 6th.
When you get a young player in the game or in the league on your team, you really want to surround him with good veterans so that he can learn and make mistakes and not have it cost him. But you look around and see the guys that Borland has had to play behind. You know, it's just not the positive type of learning experience you want him to have when he comes to the big league.
Berry hitting number 2 for just the 4th time this season. A ball and a strike. Floyd and Grissom. So terrific speed on the bases.
Yeah, and you got to really be careful. Now Borland's really concentrating on throwing strikes. You better pay attention to those runners.
A play for Batiste. They get 1. They get 2. The Phillies turn the around the horn double play. That's it for the Expos. They come up empty in the 7th. They lead 3-1. At Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, Dave Van Horne along with Gary Maddox, and the Expos lead the Phillies 3-1. Fans just settling down after the 7th inning stretch. And the Phils will have Kevin Stockard to lead it off. And then they're going to pinch hit John Kruk in the number 9 spot and Len Dykstra to follow. Phillies down by 2. Both clubs into the bullpens. Tim Scott took over for Butch Henry. There's Kruk, who will follow Stockard. Stockard batting left now against the right-hander. He doubled earlier in the game and scored the Phillies' run in the 3rd inning. Ball 1 and no strikes. Stockard just going to try to work his way on here any way he can.
Left-handed during the spring, he really has had trouble, you know, handling the ball inside the good hard fastball. And that's what he worked on all spring, just trying to hit that pitch right there. So Scott should really be going after him, and like you said, Stockard should be trying to get on that base any way he can.
Pitch taken for ball 2.
That's the pitch right there. I don't think is necessary. If you know the hitters, Kevin Stockard, you just go ahead and throwing that hard fastball. Throw him a breaking ball like that. Your outfield's playing him the other way, speeds up his bat, and he's going to hit something that might hurt you. Make him show you he can hit that hard fastball.
It's fouled away there. That evens the count at 2-2. Phils in the last inning had the tying run at second base. Stockard fouling this back. Jim Fregosi elected not to do any pinch hitting at that time, and he is limited to some degree.
Yeah, he is. You got John Kruk, one of the guys you can use. Tony Longmire, I think he doesn't want to use him under any circumstances this evening. So his moves are limited, and he's just thought that later on in the ball game he'd like to try and make him win.
One down in the 7th. Now Jim Fregosi will make another move. He's pulled John Kruk back.
Well, John Kruk, if there was a chance. Here you go. Here's a pitch that Jim Fregosi and Kevin Stocker were not happy about. Phillies right now. There's Fregosi. He's waving off the umpire. Longmire's going to hit right now. He sent Kruk back. Had there been a chance of maybe a long ball tying the game up or something, he would have gone with Kruk. Here he's going to go with Longmire and hope that he can get a single or something.
Tony Longmire batting .220. No home runs, 14 runs batted in. Coming off the bench, he's gone 6 for 28 for the Phillies.
Made the team out of spring training, ran out of options, and the Phillies decided they had to keep him because he was so promising.
A drive here to right center, and it's into the gap. Alou retrieving. Longmire with a double coming off the bench. And the Phils have a runner at second with one out.
Well, it's been a while since they had any action here for the Philadelphia Phillies. Longmire coming up, providing some spark with a line drive double in the right center. It's just a fastball. He turns on it pretty nice there. One hops right off the wall on a line drive.
The batter will be Len Dykstra. Felipe Alou is going to go visit the mound. He has Mel Rojas up in the bullpen, and he's already made the call. So that's going to be it for Tim Scott. And Rojas will come on for the Expos. The Expos holding a 2-run lead. And Dykstra is going to come to the plate representing the tying run. Now let's go to John Saunders.
Thanks, guys. And we'll check the Giants and the Astros. Pete Harnisch with a 6-2 lead facing Matt Williams. And he hits another home run. His 42nd of the year as he chases Roger Maris, pending the strike, of course. And that gets San Francisco back in the game. 6-4 is the score now in the 7th inning. Home run leaders, Williams with 42. Bagwell got number 39 earlier tonight. Back to Dave and Gary.
All right, thank you, John. Right here with one out. And Longmire at second. Lenny Dykstra is going to face Mel Rojas. Rojas, who has been outstanding out of the Expos bullpen, makes his 56th appearance. 3-2 record and 15 saves. The Expos fortunate to have 2 in the bullpen at double figures in saves. Rojas with 15, Wetland with 22.
Boy, there is no doubt about it. Felipe Alou has the flexibility. I mean, he knows what he wants to do in a situation, and he knows the people. He has the people to do it. He's not putting in someone over their heads, and these guys know their role. They've been doing it all season. It's been effective. Felipe knows when certain things happen, he's going right to the guy, and the guy's expecting to be in the situation. And to have that type of security and knowing what you're going to have to do, I mean, it just makes your job so much easier. Now with Rojas, what we're going to get from Rojas that we didn't get from Scott is that split finger that's so nasty. Hard fastball, then a split finger that looks like a fastball, and the bottom drops out.
Mel Rojas, 79 innings of work, given up 11 home runs. 80 strikeouts, though, in 79 innings.
Well, he's the guy that comes in and he faces the best of the best when he comes in to pitch. They get him sometimes, but for the most part, he's been successful.
Scott left behind one runner, Longmire. And now he and Larry Walker and Gil Heredia will watch as Mel Rojas takes over. They're in the 7th. Marlins still leading. Cardinals have taken the lead there, 6-3 over the Pirates. Dykstra has lined out, walked, and singled. Lenny's batting .281. Ball 1 to Dykstra.
Dykstra will think home run in a situation where he's ahead in the count in his team, and a home run can help his team.
A ball and a strike.
That's such a nice pitch. When you can come in there to a good hitter like Dykstra and not have to throw him that fastball when he's looking at it, it's an excellent pitch.
Rojas almost always in his spare time around the ballpark, when he's not working in the bullpen or in the game, has a baseball in his hands. For years, he carried a softball around, and he would grip the softball to help widen the fork of his fingers, the forefinger and the middle finger, to throw the splitter. One and two on Dykstra. A game that has been dominated by pitching. Cubs over the Padres 7-1 at Wrigley. Padres last in the West. Chicago snaps a 4-game losing streak. They're last in the Central. It has taken the Chicago Cubs well over 100 games into the season to win their 20th of the year at Wrigley Field.
That's amazing. They got off to a horrible start at the beginning of the season at home. And I mean, just threw their whole season into a tailspin.
2-2 on Dykstra. In the dirt, blocked by Webster, but it rolls away and headed to third, and arriving safely is Longmire.
If you have a pitch that you're successful with, you cannot be afraid to throw it in any situation. And Rojas going to his bread and butter there, that split finger. Hitters, Webster does a good job of keeping it in front of him, but Longmire sees just enough to allow him to get over to third base. Let this ball go down. Anticipation of it being in the dirt by Webster. Keeps it in front of him, but gets far enough away for Longmire to advance.
So now Longmire's at third with just one out, and the Expos will give up this run, and Dykstra hits a fister caught by Lansing. There's a break for Mel Rojas.
Well, it's not a break, really. It's just great pitching. He has excellent stuff. Just ties up a very good hitter in Lenny Dykstra. That's going after the hitter. It's me against you, and Rojas wins this battle. Watching how he ties up Dykstra. High fastball inside, no extension. Lansing able to easily run over and just backhand that ball.
Now, Jim Eisenreich is going to pitch hit here for Billy Hatcher in the number 2 spot with 2 outs. And he'll represent the tying run. And Joe Kerrigan goes out to talk to Webster and to Rojas about Eisenreich.
Yeah, and pretty much to familiarize him with him. Maybe he doesn't know him as well. But you definitely don't want to think about pitching around Eisenreich, getting him on first base.
He is the tying run. Bottom of the 7th. 2 innings in a row now. The Phils have put themselves in a good position, but have not been able to capitalize.
Yeah.
There it is. That's why. 1 for 8. Another good block by Webster.
See, that points out he's not afraid to throw that split finger with a guy on third base at any time. You have to be able to have confidence that you can get that ball over the plate.
Eisenreich batting at .298 on the year, 4 for 16 off the bench. A play for Lansing. Rojas is out of trouble. The Phils leave Longmire at third base. 3-1 Montreal, and we head to this 8th inning at the vet. 3-1, the Expos lead the Phillies, and we go to the 8th inning at Veterans Stadium. Changes for the Phillies. Jim Eisenreich, who pinch hit, stays in the game, and he's playing in right field. And the new pitcher for the Phillies, Heathcliff Slocum.
Slocum is for Doug Jones what Mel Rojas is for Wetland, and that he's a setup man that usually gets the team into that stopper, that ace relief pitcher. And he's done a good job for the Phillies this year.
Lysa Alou 0 for 3 tonight. Appeared to have a play beaten in the 6th inning, but was thrown out by Kim Batiste on that broken bat play, which touched off the controversy at first base. Slocum's 50th game, a 5-1 record, a 2.78 earned run average, and up against Alou, White, and Cordero here in the 8th. A line drive toward the gap in left center. Cutting it off in Cavilla, headed to second is Alou, standing with a double.
It's a pitch up in the strike zone. Alou holds his hands high, and he doesn't drop them. He leaves them there, so that pitch up in the strike zone, he just levels off on. Look, up there, not many people can handle that, but his hands are held high. See how they're right there? And I mean, he just levels off right there, and he can handle that high fastball. Good piece of hitting. Good baseball player.
And you consider that last September, when he was down on the turf at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, it appeared that his very career would be in jeopardy with a dislocated ankle and a broken leg. What a comeback story.
Boy, and it was ugly, too. The pictures you saw that thing was just frightening. And the Phillies went to Montreal right after that. He was back out on the field, not playing, but talking to his teammates and what have you.
One strike on Rondell White, the 22-year-old rookie, 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. And Alou at second base. You can probably see that he still wears a support on that left ankle. It's an air cast. It's attached with Velcro, and then they inflate it to give that ankle good lateral support.
See if the Expos can do what the Phillies have not been able to do. That's get a runner in with, leadoff runner. Nobody out. See if you can get them around. Phillies have had their opportunities and just have come up short, not delivered.
2 balls and a strike to Rondell White. For those who might not have been with us early in the game, Rondell White is in the cleanup spot. Larry Walker is out of the lineup tonight. Walker has an injured right shoulder, and he needed a night off. Left-hander Gabe White is up in the Expos bullpen. Dave White, I believe, is up to get some work in because John Wetland would be the man the Expos would call on if Mel Rojas doesn't finish the game.
No question.
White chasing that pitch. Slocum did a good job there and struck out the rookie. 1 down in the 8th. Next Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, a special encore presentation. Christy Yamaguchi and Midori Ito compete in the ladies' final of the Durasoft Colors World Challenge of Champions. That's next Saturday at 4:30 Eastern on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Will Cordero has walked, struck out, and singled. Cordero was a 16-year-old in Puerto Rico when the Expos signed him in 1988. The story says that moments after his high school grades were posted on the board, he signed his first professional contract.
I tell you, the Montreal Expos have done an excellent job in getting young players and developing. I mean, their farm system. Contrast that with the Phillies, who have just not been able to reach down when they needed it to get players to come up and fill in on their roster. You got to go out and buy your players, and it's going to hurt you.
Fastball up and in that stood Cordero right up.
The economics of the game, if you have to go out and pay for players, then you're not going to have enough money to where it's going to be feasible for you to keep them all. I think the Phillies are going to be faced with that at the end of the season. You talk about a John Kruk, a guy like Mariano Duncan. You may have to let guys go.
More and more teams like the Expos getting back to the SDSD system: scout, draft, sign, and develop.
And you know, even though that system is in place, you have to have talent to go out and find talent, and that's something that has escaped the Phillies with no success with their #1 draft choice over the last few years. And so I give a lot of credit to the Montreal organization, the Atlanta Braves organization. They've done excellent. In fact, the Phillies have hired Mike Arbuckle, who was the head of scouting for Atlanta, and he's now here. Hopefully he can turn that system around for the Phillies.
2-2 pitch again, up and in to Cordero. Now 3-2.
Now he struck out White on a slider, 3-2. We'll see what he goes to get Cordero here. White's chased one out of the strike zone. It's just you expect fastball in this situation. If the pitcher can get it close, a breaking ball, and hitters will normally offer at it.
3-2 with one out. The Expos up 3-1, and Cordero chops the ball to third. It is a foul ball.
And it was that breaking ball. Cordero got a piece of it, though. I mean, he just saw what happened to White, so he's not completely fooled by it. So here, 3-2 hitters are definitely looking fastball in the National League. And look at Slocum, a good hard breaking ball. Gets too much of the plate, though, and Cordero gets enough of it to stay alive.
That's Alou leading away at second base. Cordero back in for another 3-2 pitch. He has drawn the walk, and catcher Lenny Webster will be the batter. So now Jim Fregosi, who has had trouble scoring runs, has had the opportunities, can't get the runs in, down by 2, and he doesn't want to see the Expos score anymore.
No, he sure doesn't. He's going to, and I've heard Fregosi talk about his team after games, and I know what he's going to say right away. We had our opportunities here tonight and just didn't cash in on it. It's been that story for the last 3 ball games now. Phillies have not been able to come up big in crucial situations. But right now, Slocum has to do the job.
Ball 1 to Webster, who singled up the middle with 2 outs in the 4th inning to drive in a run. 1 for 2 on the night, and Lenny Webster 310 with runners in scoring position on the year.
You got to remember, Alou was on second base with nobody out. The Expos, I mean, if you're talking about playing at a higher level, getting to the playoffs, you have to be able to do the fundamental things. Get that guy over, pad that lead a little bit, because good teams that you'll face in the playoffs will come back and catch you.
Pratt out to visit Slocum.
That usually means I think maybe the guy on second base might be giving your pitches, especially when you see Cordero take a 3-2 pitch.
One ball, no strikes. And a foul ball out of play to the right. Another thing that Alou, the manager, will do, of course, with the count favorable, he'll start runners up.
Oh, I can understand, especially if you got a guy that has a slow delivery, and you know, coaches, they time those deliveries to home plate by the pitcher. If they know that they can get a good favorable count, they'll do it.
Slocum, in firing that strike, gets ahead on the count, 1-2. Slocum shaking off a sign. Webster stepped out. Stocker and Reddy looking for a double play ball. 2-2 to Webster.
That's not really a double play ball when you throw a hard slider away, because what's going to happen is the guy, if he does chase it, he'll get a piece of it, and it's a slow roller. Todd Pratt has tried to get Slocum to come inside with a fastball so you maybe could jam him. The guy takes a full swing and hits a ball to the left side of the infield. That's how you turn two. But it looks like he doesn't have confidence in his fastball, and in critical situations, he's gone to that slider. See, he wants it inside right now. There.
Got it inside and just missed.
See, but if that takes you to 3-2, earlier in the count is when you need to approach that strategy. Here it's a good pitch. If it had been set up nice, hitter probably would have chased that.
Two on, 3-2 to Webster. The runners go. Webster swings and misses. Throw to third. Double play. A strike him out, throw him out, double play, and the Phils are out of the inning. The Expos come up empty, and it's 3-1 Montreal. To the bottom of the 8th we go. Here's the MCI proof positive replay.
Another 3-2 slider from Heathcliff Slocum is a double play at the end of the inning. Put the ball in the dirt. Milligan, Webster it is, I mean, chases that ball. 3-2 he would have been on with the base hit, but what he does also is he falls out of the way so that the catcher can have a clear target. And you'll see Alou right there is just nailed. But what Felipe was doing and what he will do in a favorable count is start those runners. That time it backfired.
And that was our MCI proof positive replay. Now on to the bottom of the 8th, 3-1 Montreal. The Expos had a chance to extend their lead. The Phillies come up with a big strikeout and the throw to third for the double play, and they're down by 2 as they bat in the 8th. Jordan's 2 out of 3. John Wetland is now up in the bullpen with Rojas working here in the 8th. Rojas has pitched as many as 3, has 15 saves, but more often than not is in there for 1+ or 2 innings, and then it's Wetland to close the game.
Well, he had to come in and finish off, I think it was the 6th inning. Now pitch the 7th and into the 8th.
Ball and a strike to Jordan. The infield hit in the 1st and the leadoff single in the 6th. A play for Barry, and he tried to play it off his left hip, knocked the ball down, and has no play to make.
When a guy like Jordan hits the ball and the overspin that you get on it, you know, you just don't have time to position yourself. That ball gets down there so quickly. Look at that, a full swing, one hopper right off of there, and then it just eats Barry up. He doesn't have time to back up or charge the ball and get it on a big hop. And you see he's trying to do it right at his body, waist high. You like it right in front of you, high, or down at the ground where you can short hop those balls.
So Jordan reaches on the error, charge to the Expos third baseman Sean Barry. That is Barry's 13th error of this season. And the door is open for the Phillies once again. Here's Incaviglia. Strike 1. Tonight, Incaviglia has flied to center and struck out twice.
Incaviglia last year started primarily against left-handers and did a real good job for him. Now, when he has to go over from hitting mainly against left-handers to a hard thrower like Rojas, it's difficult.
0-2. Incaviglia with 13 home runs.
There's last year's production. 89 RBIs he had. What a fall off to 32 so far this season. Ooh.
Rojas coming up and in with the 0-2 pitch.
Well, the pitch was not that close. What happened was Rojas had thrown him a breaking ball away. So Incaviglia, knowing this guy throws that hard slider, you want to start looking out there. So a fastball that's on the inside part of the plate, the guy will recognize it at the last second and then kind of jerk back. Not really a close pitch or anything to get concerned about.
Rojas with a strikeout, and it's the third straight time that Incaviglia has struck out.
Watch how he drops this little split finger in there. Watch this thing go down and into Incaviglia there. See, he's swinging at the ball. He thinks it's on one level. It just, the bottom just falls right out of it. Big swings don't usually have a lot of success on those types of pitches unless they make a mistake.
Ricky Bottalico has finished warming up. Doug Jones stirring around. John Wetland is up in the Montreal bullpen. John Vukovich taking a look at the Expos lineup card, and so is Jim Fregosi.
And I want to say, I think the Phillies are going to be back next year and be a strong team when their pitchers get healthy. Lee Thomas, of the people I've seen here in this organization, he's one of the best in baseball at scouting talent and making good trades. So I know that what he does in the offseason with these Phillies and what they already have from deals he's made, I know they'll be back next season.
There's no doubt this East Division would have a different look with a healthy Philadelphia ball club. Battling with the Atlanta Braves and the Expos. Webster goes out to visit Rojas, who's just fallen behind 2-0 on Randy Reddy. Expos chased the Phils all last year. Phillies got off to a terrific start, sustained it throughout the season, held off the Expos down the stretch, became National League champions. The Expos, more than any other team in the division, expect them back.
That's interesting. Webster, a young catcher, going out to talk to Rojas, established pitcher. He must have saw something, but at least he knows he has the courage to go out there and say something.
2-1 the count. One out, double play depth. Ground ball, Barry smothers it from his knees, throws to second and gets the force play. No chance for two. Reddy is aboard on the fielder's choice.
Well, all you want to do is get one out in that situation. Barry thought initially that ball had a shot at going to the hole. I'm sure that's why he dove, but he almost falls on top of it, gets up, and makes a good throw to second base. Didn't have to dive, but he stopped the ball and got the one out.
Yeah, that's a great point, Gary, because he in effect misjudged that ball, didn't he?
Oh yeah, but you can understand it's a position, especially on this field, that's very difficult to play, and it's such a reaction thing. You have to react as soon as that ball's hit, and generally when it's hit down there, it's coming quickly off the bat of a big right-handed batter. So you don't fault a guy for that, but he did just overreact a little bit.
Todd Pratt has fouled out, flied out, and struck out.
Where I hate to see that type of diving, though, is in the outfield. Not only does it increase your chances of getting hurt, but if you miss one, it almost always results in another base.
Todd Pratt pops one up high into the air, foul territory, and out of play. That's an interesting point. The other night, Moises Alou was asked what he felt he still had to learn about this game to develop into the player that he felt he could be. And the very first thing he brought up was how to play to avoid injury. He was not referring to the injury of last fall, just in general.
Yeah. You have to stand up in the outfield, in my opinion. Stay up off the ground. Another part of not being injured is running the bases, knowing the correct way to slide. Little nicks like that towards August and September really start to take away from what you can accomplish. And of course, if you have that longevity, that's how you break records. That's how you get the stats that can compare you with the rest of the top players in the game. Because most of them played for a long period of time.
That is the story for the Phillies tonight. 1 for 11 with men on base. Randy Reddy at first here. Todd Pratt the batter.
Todd Pratt had a chance to drive in a run with a guy on third and struck out off of Scott in his last at bat.
A ground ball for Barry, scooped and bobbled. He recovers and throws for the out at first base. And once again, the Phils come up empty. Got the leadoff man on. To the ninth we go. 3-1 Montreal. Three to 1 Expos into the ninth inning at the vet. Here's a reminder, next Saturday, baseball night in America is scheduled to return as Greg Jeffries and the Cardinals welcome these Philadelphia Phillies to Busch Stadium or other regional action. So check your local listings for the game in your area next Saturday night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central here on ABC. Fletcher is going to pinch hit for Mel Rojas, and Wetland will come on in the bottom of the inning. Fletcher hitting in the 7th spot. Batting .268, 10 home runs, 56 runs batted in. Strike one.
You guys got a lot of former Dodgers over there in that Montreal team. So Darren Fletcher came to Montreal from the Phillies. Spent some time here. Good kid, but they have a catcher by the name of Darren Dalton here who does the majority of the catching.
Fletcher hits this in the air to right. Eisenreich, one down. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile retailers. Michelin, so much is riding on your tires. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. And on an absolutely beautiful night in Philadelphia, the Expos and the Phillies battle into the ninth. Mike Lansing with a bouncer to Stocker. 2 down. First baseman Cliff Floyd will be the batter. The Expos using a pair of home runs and a leadoff double to score 3 runs tonight, and the pitcher Butch Henry and the bullpen of Tim Scott and Mel Rojas so far holding the Phillies at bay. The Phils have had numerous scoring opportunities. They've had chances in the last 4 innings, but have come up short. 2 balls, no strikes to Floyd.
I don't think they came up short. They haven't come up at all. I mean, we saw been in scoring position 1 for 11.
Mariners stop the Royals. 14-game winning streak for Kansas City comes to an end tonight. Gary, they have been the one team more than any other in the American League up to this point to really change the look of a division. The Royals putting the charge on the Indians and the White Sox.
Yeah, boy, that's a tough division to make up some ground too. Probably anywhere else they'd have done a lot better, but I mean, when you have Cleveland and Chicago you're trying to overtake. Wow. It's a strong fight for that last playoff spot.
Floyd goes down on strikes. The Expos are gone in order. 3-1 into the bottom of the ninth at the vet. Baseball Night in America from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, and it's 3-1 Montreal to the bottom of the ninth. The Phillies are going to do some pinch hitting, and they're up against John Wetland, who leads the Expos in saves with 22. Mel Rojas worked an inning and 2/3. So Wetland will be facing the bottom third of the Philadelphia batting order, but again, Jim Fregosi is going to do some pinch hitting.
I tell you, when you have to face a closer like Wetland, you're facing one of the best in the National League, if not in all of baseball. So you got an uphill battle here when you give him a 2-run lead that you're trying to overcome.
It'll be Mickey Morandini who is going to pinch hit for Kim Batiste, and then Kevin Stocker, and then we'll see. More than likely John Kruk. You saw some numbers on Wetland. 62 strikeouts in 59 and a third innings. A power pitcher.
But only giving up 42 hits in 59 innings. That's an indication that he may throw a lot of balls, but they're for a purpose. He usually gets ahead in the count, and then will try and get the hitters to chase bad pitches. Fastball, curveball, slider.
I think one of the things that surprises us about John Wetland is that while he is a power pitcher and throws hard, that hitters around the league will tell you that he has one of the best curveballs when he's on with it, of course, in the league.
Yeah. I mean, when you throw hard and hitters have to look for your fastball, and then if you can top that off with a good curveball, I mean, that gives you the type of stats that John Wetland has, where the league is just hitting 199 against you.
Morandini pinch hitting, batting .296 on the year. Let's pause for our ABC stations to identify themselves.
WPVI-TV Philadelphia, serving the Delaware Valley.
I guess, Gary, the point you make then is no matter how hard you throw the ball to be an efficient closer, you have to have at least 2 pitches.
Oh, no question about it. And you have to have some control in this league as well, because no matter how hard you throw, these guys can hit that fastball. And what you have to do is set it up.
1 down in the 9th inning. Morandini's gone. Kevin Stocker up. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Jack O'Hara. Coordinating producer of the Baseball Network, John Filippelli. The coordinating producer for ABC Sports, Kurt Gowdy Jr. And tonight's game in Philadelphia produced by Ray Tipton, directed by Jim Cross, associate director Vicki Haggerty, technical director Scott Sickler, and the assistant to the producer, Eric Posman. 1 down in the 9th. Stocker 1 out of 3, doubled and scored the Philadelphia run in the 3rd inning.
What you're going to find from Wetland is he goes right after the hitter right from the beginning. He gets ahead of him, yeah, you might see that good curveball that he has. But until he gets ahead, he's going to stick with that fastball.
Pitching coach Joe Kerrigan preaches constantly about first pitch strikes. So much so that he keeps a running total in the stats up in the clubhouse for the pitchers to look at throughout the season.
Yeah, and you know that really starts down in the minor leagues. You know what you try and do in the big leagues, you make sure they're doing in the minor leagues, and in the Expo organization, they're teaching it with the young guys. Hey, get ahead of these guys, and you'll have some success.
2 balls and a strike to Stocker with John Kruk in the on-deck circle. Stocker lines a single to center field, and John Kruk is going to represent the tying run. Hit number 2 tonight for Kevin Stocker, so he's opened the door again for the Phillies, Gary.
He does a good piece of hitting by Kevin Stocker. Ahead in the count, 2-1. You talk about having to have more than 1 pitch. That was a fastball, but if you're not ahead in the count, that pitch has to be a fastball with not anything on it, and that's what Wetland served up right there, and Kevin Stocker base hit.
Now, John Wetland has only allowed 4 home runs, but 2 of them cost him ball games in the 9th. 1 of them cost him a tie.
John Kruk not nearly having the power numbers he's had in the past.
Kruk swings, hits a high fly ball to deep right field, and it is gone. A two-run home run for John Kruk, and the Phillies tie this game in the 9th against John Wetteland.
Dave, talk about black catting a guy. A fastball up from Wetteland, trying to get ahead of John Kruk, and John Kruk just good extension. That ball's out of here. We got a tie ball game. Off a guy we consider to have some of the best stuff in the National League. John Kruk, when he gets back at home, just kind of limps into the dugout.
John Kruk with a pinch hit, two-run home run, his 5th of the year, the 3rd Phillies pinch hit homer.
Again, a fastball up in the strike zone, and Wetteland trying to sneak that first pitch over, thinking the hitters might be taking. John Kruk all over it.
One out. Lenny Dykstra at the plate. The winning run. Dykstra 1 out of 3 with a walk. Foul back to the left.
Wetteland now has to dig down a little bit himself. Boy, what an emotional drop when you're out there with the game on the line, your team counting on you. You give up a run to tie it. You just don't feel like putting it all into the next few pitches. The good pitchers can bounce back, though.
Doug Jones up in the Philadelphia bullpen. A strike to Dykstra. Bottom of the 9th, and a pinch hit two-run homer by John Kruk.
John Kruk's last home run was to left field, hit the foul pole. Now to turn, he's a guy that hits the ball the other way, to turn on somebody like Wetteland.
Dykstra goes down on strikes.
That was a slider inside. Dykstra pulled, just offered up a check swing at that. Boy, that's a good feeling John Kruk is experiencing right now. You come up, hit a home run to tie the ball game up for your team.
4th career pinch hit home run for John, his 5th of this season. Jim Eisenreich out in front, but checked, and ball 1. Eisenreich with a fly ball to left. Rondell White comes in to make the play for the 3rd out of the inning, and the Expos and the Phillies will play extra innings, tied at 3 at the end of 9 at Veterans Stadium. A 3-3 tie into the 10th inning at Veterans Stadium. The Expos and the Phillies all tied up. Randy Reddy moves over to 3rd base. Mickey Morandini, who pinch hit, stays in the game to play at 2nd base. Top of the Expos batting order. There's Morandini at 2nd. Doug Jones, the new pitcher. Marquise Grissom, the batter, hitting .287. Drives a ball to left field. This sends Incaviglia back at the wall to make the play.
Good play by P.D. Caviglia. Nice hitting by Marquise Grissom. Doug Jones on the mound. When you hit off of Doug Jones, you got to supply the power, because his changeup is slow, and slower. Look at this, probably low 70s. Grissom hits it good, but not enough to get out of here tonight. Incaviglia going back, a good play up against the wall.
1 down in the 10th inning. Sean Berry, the batter, has doubled and hit a home run. Doug Jones in his 46th game, a 2-3 record. 27 saves and a 2.34 earned run average. Jones on here in a tie game.
Talked about some of the good trades that Lee Thomas has made. This is one right here, getting Doug Jones from the Houston Astros from Mitch Williams, who's no longer in baseball at this point. Fouled off at the plate.
The Phils are playing their first extra inning game at home this season. They've played 6 on the road and have a 1-5 record, but it's their first extra inning game at the Bet this year. Expos are playing their 14th extra inning game. In the previous games, they've won 5, lost 8 in overtime. Strike 3 called on Barry. 2 down. Now let's go to John Saunders.
All right, guys, in your game, the Phillies came back to tie the Expos, and San Francisco trying to do the same against Houston. That's Jeff Reed, his first home run of the year. It's a 3-run shot that gets the Giants within a run of the Astros after they fell way behind. 8-7 now in the 9th. Back to Dave and Gary.
All right, thanks, John. Alou up here with 2 down, nobody on. Doubled his last time up and 1 for 4 on the night. Expos and the Phils tied at 3. You see the line score through 9. 3 runs, 6 hits, and an error for the Expos. 3 runs, 8 hits for the Phillies. Boy, what timing by John Krug.
Definitely nothing like timing. John Krug delivers for the Phillies. Now, you know who's paying strict attention to this ball game is the Atlanta Braves. And they see the Phillies come from behind to tie this ball game up. Both teams have their closers in there in a tie ball game.
1-2 the count on Alou, batting .333. Of course, from now until the projected strike date of the 12th, everything takes on a whole new meaning. Alou missed that pitch, and the ball is back to the backstop.
I don't know if that hit the plate or if it went between the legs of Todd Pratt. We're going to get a chance to see it on the replay, but you have to anticipate this changeup being in the dirt if you're a catcher. Glove down, not that way, not going down to it, but already down, anticipating the ball. And he stabbed at it and didn't come up with it.
And so Alou has reached base. It's a strikeout for Doug Jones. And Alou reaches on a wild pitch. The batter, Rondell White, hitless tonight, 0 for 3 with a walk.
Something you don't get a lot from Doug Jones. That's a pitch up that you can go after. That's the key to hitting. You have to make him get that changeup up to where you can handle it, because most of his pitches he tries to start them out waist high and have it drop out of the strike zone.
Throws the bat at the ball and broke that bat off right at the handle.
That's movement right there from Doug Jones. He's not throwing hard, so it wasn't because he jammed him from velocity, but the movement on the ball coming inside just got in on it.
Rondell White has gone for a new bat. 1-run lead for Houston there. Bottom of the 9th. Marlins holding a 1-run lead. And the White Sox and the Angels underway, as are the Rangers and the A's.
We saw Doug Jones try to come inside with that movement on his changeup. You know, now what he does a lot of times is he has the hitter set up inside and he'll try and hit that breaking ball on the outside part of the plate.
Pitch up high, in and out of the mid of Pratt. Alou hesitated, but then took off and still made it to second base.
Well, that's going to have to be a pass ball. I mean, Todd Pratt, it was a fastball. It was up a little bit, but what happens is you expect a certain velocity from Doug Jones. This, he looks like he reached back to try and get something extra, and Pratt just barely gets his glove up there in time. It bounces away, and Alou gets down to second base. Well, they were not able to get him in from second with nobody out. Let's see what they can do with 2 outs.
With 2 outs. Wouldn't that be something? This is one of those innings where Doug Jones, in effect, has to get a 4th out. Rondell White hits a high fly ball. Doug Jones got the job done. There's Dykstra, and that's all for the Expos in the 10th. 3-3, and we go to the bottom of the 10th. We'll return with Baseball Night in America, the Expos and the Phillies, after this from our ABC stations. The Expos and the Phils are tied at 3, and the Phillies come to bat in the bottom of the 10th inning. John Crux, pinch hit, 2-run home run with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th off John Wetland, sending this to extra innings. Ricky Jordan, the batter. Wetland throws to first for the out.
And Wetland going after Jordan with the breaking ball. He hung it, and that's what Jordan, his eyes lit up when he saw it sitting up there high in the strike zone. Look at it. Up there in the strike zone, Jordan will not let that pass. It's off the plate, but not enough to get over Wetland's head. A good play to get Jordan at first.
1 down. Pete Incaviglia has gone 0 for 4 tonight and has struck out the last 3 times. Facing Wetland for the first time tonight. A foul ball out of play to the right. A personal note, if we may, we at ABC Sports would like to offer our condolences to the family of longtime producer Amy Sachs, who passed away during the week. She was a good friend to all at ABC Sports, and she'll be missed. The 10th inning in Philadelphia. 0-2, the count on Incaviglia. I mentioned a moment ago the strike date, which has been set for the 12th of August, and how everything takes on greater meaning between now and then. You alluded to the Atlanta Braves watching the scoreboard. An Atlanta win tonight, and of course, if the Expos lose, Braves will pick up the full game, be 4 back, running out of games between now and the strike date.
Well, I don't think you have any pride. The teams look right now, and they can tell just about what has to happen before they have a chance to overtake somebody. But I don't think you have so much pride that you're not willing to take that wild card slot as well. Anybody that right now you're saying, can we get wild card? Can we get anything to be one of the teams that are headed for the playoffs if the season ends on the 12th?
2-2 on Incaviglia. I've been amazed at the Expos and several other clubs that I get to see the Expos more often than the others. Of course, Incaviglia down on strikes again. That's the 4th straight time he has struck out. He's 0 for 5 on the night. 2 down here in the 10th inning. Second strikeout for Wetland.
He struck out 4 times. When you strike out 3 times, they call it a hat trick. 4 is the golden sombrero. So, not something you want to do on television. Or any time for that.
Right. 2 down, nobody on. Randy Reddy up 0 for 3. What has amazed me, Gary, is the way the team has been able to stay focused on the job at hand of winning baseball games. As a player, you went through this back in 1981.
Oh, yeah, we sure did. We were in first place at the time comfortably, so you know, we felt comfortable that we were going to be there. We didn't know what the format was going to be because you didn't know how long the strike was going to go. But we were sitting pretty, and that year, we ended up getting to the playoffs, playing against the Montreal Expos, who overtook us and got to the playoffs that year against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Best teams don't always get there. Cincinnati Reds won more teams than any team, that won more games than any team in the National League that year, and never even made it.
2 down, nobody on in the 10th. So I guess what you do as a player and as a team, you win what you can up to the point that something happens, and then you have to sit back and wait.
A good example, you focus on one game at a time And a good example of that is the players, a lot of people thought they were going to go out on strike earlier this week, you know, and so there you were playing for the 12th when it might have happened sooner. Incidentally, I think part of the reason they didn't go out was because it wouldn't be fair to all teams. In the past, the Players Association has chosen a strike date that's early so that you don't put the brunt of the strike and the weight all on one team that might be headed for the playoffs. So no purpose would have been solved for them to go out early, but it also, the purpose that was served is that teams still now have a chance to go ahead and possibly make a wild card or a spot in the playoffs.
3-2 to Randy Reddy is ball 4. The winning run is on with 2 out in the 10th inning. Now looking at the standings, the Expos leading Atlanta right now by 5. Next up in the East Division, of course, the New York Mets. But here's the wild card race. The Braves 2 ahead of Houston.
Right, so that's what Atlanta is really saying. Hey, yeah, we'd like to be in first place at the end of this time, but realistically, if the 12th is the strike date, we got to try and hold on to this wild card position. And they have a 2-game lead right now. But Houston is playing excellent.
Todd Pratt is up for the 5th time. 0 for 4. Randy Reddy at first base is the winning run. 2 down. Foul ball off the foot. He'll have to walk that off. My broadcast partner during the regular years, Ken Singleton. Adversary of yours at one time.
Pretty fair ball player there, too.
Ken was a veteran, of course, in 1981, and he has told me, Gary, that he was never the same player after that strike of 1981. There's Ken Singleton in the radio booth. And he said he was never the same after that, mentally or physically, after a long layoff and then returning with the Orioles, of course, in the latter stages of 81.
I can understand that. I mean, whenever a part of your career just flashes and you're doing nothing about it, that has to take something out of you.
That pop-up is way up there. Sean Berry is waiting. If it come down, and it did, the Expos get the 3rd out of the inning. The Phillies leave a runner. We're tied at 3, headed to the 11th. Here in Philadelphia, the Expos had a 3-1 lead with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th and John Wedlund in the game. And John Kruk came off the bench and hit a 2-run pinch hit homer. And we're tied at 3 into the 11th inning. And Doug Jones will face Will Cordero. The Expos shortstop is 1 for 2 with a couple of walks tonight. This is the 2nd inning of work for Jones. 2 balls, no strikes to Cordero. The Expos will have someone up in the bullpen. It is Jeff Shaw up for the 2nd time tonight. John Wedlund has worked 2 innings. He's gone 3 innings once this year, but that was way back in May. Ball 3 and no strikes to Cordero. 3-1. Well, there are a lot of fans in a lot of cities very concerned, and of course a lot of players whose teams. Here's a chopper for Jones. He unloads quickly and throws it away down the right field line into the seats. Will Cordero, racing to first base, put some pressure on Doug Jones. He had the high hopper, got impatient waiting under that ball, and then threw it away at first.
Yeah, he did. Doug Jones, recognizing Cordero was getting down the line, wanted to make it as quick a release as possible. He catches it, tries to get it out of his glove, and just doesn't have control, fires it high. Boy, that can prove to be costly.
That's a 2-base error by Doug Jones. And now the Expos have the go-ahead run at second base as a result of that error.
Well, I tell you, you got number 2 and number 3 pitchers as far as saves in the ball game here. And they're both having a little trouble.
There's the bunt by Webster to first. Jordan will pick it up and tag Webster out, and the go-ahead run is at third base. Let's go to John Saunders now.
All right, Dave and Gary, we'll get right back to you. Giants and the Astros, 9th inning, and the Giants with a chance. You see the runner at first, Benzinger, with a shot up the middle. Finley is throwing this one to third as Benjamin thinks he's in there. He is out at third. The tag applied by Caminiti. Bonds flies out for the final out. 8-7, the Astros win. Dave and Gary.
Wow, what a finish, John. So Houston comes up with a win.
Not bad base running, though. If you get in there, you know, it allows Barry Bonds to be able to hit a sacrifice fly to score the runner. So good aggressive base running, just didn't work out for the Giants.
Lou Frazier against a drawn-in infield, called strike. Frazier is mired in a slump. He's a switch hitter, has speed to spare, but comes into this game 0 for his last 21. The go-ahead run 90 feet from home. Fouled back by Frazier, 0-2.
I tell you, the deeper into a slump you get, the more you start to feel for the ball. All you're trying to do then is just feel for it and make contact, and that's the worst thing you do. You can't be afraid to strike out when you go up there. You see Frazier just kind of feel for that one.
Good numbers for the year, 318 with men in scoring position. He checks edge high. This is Frazier's side of the plate, however. He's hitting .298 left-handed. And a high chopper. Doug Jones in. Flows the ball to the plate with his glove, and Cordero scores. The Expos take a 4-3 lead.
So what Doug Jones has is causing all these high hoppers is a ball that's sinking, and the hitters are hitting the top part of it and hitting those high choppers. The only thing Doug Jones could do right there was just try and knock the ball to Todd Pratt. They did pretty good, but with Randy Reddy playing in, that allows the guy from third base, Cordero, to take even a bigger lead, and he gets in there pretty easily. Because Randy Reddy is playing so far in, they have no chance of Cordero. Good slide away from the tag.
Got his hand on the plate. The Expos get the run in and have a 4-3 lead.
You can see Cordero just simulating how he had to swing down on that ball.
Frazier on the fielder's choice. A strike to Lansing, who homered early in the game. He's 1 for 4 on the night. Frazier has 20 stolen bases in 23 attempts.
I don't think they have a play on Frazier at first base on that either way.
One ball, one strike the count. The Expos have gotten some help in the last 2 innings. Remember the last inning? A strikeout, but a wild pitch and a pass ball put a runner in scoring position. The Expos didn't cash that run in, but now in the very next inning, a 2-base throwing error by Doug Jones, and the Expos scored that run.
Yeah, they went to the fundamentals. They didn't rely on Webster to hit him to third base. He's turned around, sacrificed, made sure he got there.
Lansing strike 2. I was about to strike him out there, but it still takes 3, even in the 11th. 1-2 the count. Jones just missing outside. Here's Doug Jones working in this 11th inning. His second inning of work, hasn't given up a hit, and he's now behind.
That's why you see a lot of relief pitchers have bad won-loss records, because they come into games where you have to use them in a role they're not accustomed to. Doug Jones likes to come in, pitch 1 inning. Wetland, come in, pitch 1 inning and get you out of that tight situation. You start asking them to go more and more, then it's a little bit more difficult.
Lansing does strike out. The throw down to second, and Frazier is caught. And it's the second. Strike him out, throw him out, double play in the game for the Phillies. But the Expos score 4-3 here in the 11th. The Expos have a 4-3 lead in the bottom of the 11th inning. Now remember, they led 3-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning. That's when John Kruk's home run tied the game. Now the Expos have scored an unearned run in the top of the 11th inning, have a 4-3 lead, and Jeff Shaw comes on. Shaw now pitches in the save situation, and this becomes Wetland's game to win. There's a ball hit softly to the shortstop Cordero. Morandini is out, one away in the Philly 11th. Now this would be an interesting story, not just because John Wetland had a save, gave it up on the 2-run pinch hit home run, now has a chance to win, but Jeff Shaw has never saved a game in the National League. He has one career save, and it was back in 1991 with the Cleveland Indians. On the 26th of June, he pitched 3 shutout innings and picked up a save in an Indians win over the Orioles. That's the only major league save he has.
So this turns out to be a learning experience for Shaw. A good opportunity for him to get some experience in a tight situation, something that he's not experienced before.
Fouled off by Stocker, who is 2 out of 4 tonight and has scored.
Not a good situation for the Phillies in the sense that they are 11-24 in 1-run ball games. So the odds are not in their favor. Shaw, he looked like he didn't know if he was going to stretch or wind up and just stopped.
He's ahead 1-2. John Kruk giving the Phillies a tremendous lift in the 9th inning with that pinch hit home run on a night that the Phils had a lot of opportunities but couldn't score. Mike Lieberthal is on deck. Then an unearned run in the top of the 11th now, giving the Expos another opportunity. One-and-two pitch, hit foul off to the left. There is Doug Jones, who surrendered that unearned run. He made the throwing error that set the run up for the Expos. Two and two now on Stocker. A half swing. The Atlanta Braves won their game, so again the Expos need a win to remain 5 ahead of Atlanta. That's fouled straight back. Gary, here we go this coming week. Expos take on the Pittsburgh Pirates after tomorrow's game here in Philadelphia, while Atlanta finishes up at Cincinnati, and then they have Colorado. The Braves have really beaten up on the Rockies.
In terms of playing against teams with better records, it would seem Montreal would have the easier schedule, but in this game, you just don't know, which John Kruk showed us a little bit earlier. You got to play every out.
Just in case you're wondering, by the way, the Expos are 5-4 on the year with Atlanta. A line drive back to Shaw for out number 2. Well, that ball was ticketed to center field.
He's going to remember this first save if he's able to get this last hitter out. Kevin Stocker's just been swinging the bat phenomenal for the Phillies, and this is right back up the middle where he wants to try and hit the ball, and right at Shaw, who's squared up and ready to field this position.
Two down. Lieberthal pinch hitting in this 9th spot. This is where Kruk pinch hit in the 9th inning and hit a 2-run home run. Mike Lieberthal hitting at .262, a home run, 4 RBIs. The ball is popped up, and on the right side, Lansing. That's the ball game. The Expos have beaten the Philadelphia Phillies in 11, 4-3. Gary, it has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed working this night with you as much as I enjoyed watching you all those years. Tonight's Chevrolet Player of the Game is Butch Henry, the Expos starter. In conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute a total of $50,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in the names of all the players of the game for the 1994 Major League Baseball season. In 11 innings, the Expos over the Phillies 4-3. John Wetland with the win and Doug Jones with a loss, a save for Jeff Shaw. Don't forget Baseball Night in America, scheduled to return next Saturday night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, here on ABC. Dave Van Horne and Gary Maddox, good night from Philly.